So Trump got elected. Watching the news, people are like, what is happening to American democracy? I just was like, Mom, I love you. I've spent 6 months at home. I cannot sit here and do nothing. This man cannot move to DC unfought. So I went on Craigslist, found some apartments, and moved up here. Got a job, didn't know anybody, just came.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to episode 20 of the Andrew Deitch podcast. We did it, folks. Holy crap. Episode 20. It's here. Snuck in 20 episodes for the first month of uploading. Crazy, right? I honestly can't even believe it. I can't say it enough. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Y'all are the reason why I am so focused on putting out so many episodes, and I am super pumped that my beautiful, illustrious voice is traveling into your ear holes right now. I don't even know what illustrious means. It just sounded good. If it was the proper usage, then I totally... then ignore that. I have a very special episode for you guys today. My special guest today is my beautiful and fantastic friend, Lyndsay Carreno. Lyndsay is a world traveler, political activist, historian, music festival expert, and I am proud to say she's one of my best friends in the whole world. The first time I met Lyndsay was at a concert in Atlanta a couple years ago, and from the moment I met her, I knew that I wanted to be her friend, which is kind of weird because that doesn't really happen that often, but when it does, it's awesome. And it's so crazy looking back on it now because from the random off chance that we met at that concert, now I know her family. We've traveled all around the world together, gone to countless music festivals and concerts, and she's introduced me to some really awesome people, and it's weird to think about how much different my life might have been if I would have never met her. Lyndsay moved to Washington, D.C. about 6 months ago and didn't know anybody, just straight hustled from the ground up, living in some pretty ridiculous housing, to now having a really cool apartment with her friend Dana, who makes some tasteful cameos in this episode. She has always wanted to move out there, and I'm super duper proud of her for conquering her fears and just going for it, you know? And she was also sick the day that we recorded this, and she still totally killed it. I was kind of afraid that we wouldn't be able to record when she told me that she got sent home from work early since she was sick, but she took a nap, and she still rallied through this episode, and that's just the kind of person that Lyndsay is. She really wanted to do this, and I'm super, super stoked that she did. On this episode, we covered a whole bunch of topics. We talked about how she grew up in England, how the impact that her dad made on her life, some stories. We got pretty deep and talked about her dad passing away last year, very suddenly and unexpectedly. And at the end, we talked about politics. And Lyndsay is such a strong woman. I really want to thank her for being so vulnerable and sharing so much with us. Death is never a fun subject to talk about, but I'm really glad we were able to talk about it. And hopefully listening to this can help some other people who may be dealing with loss right now too. I know there's people out there that could really, use some, not advice, but just like hearing other people's experiences to know they're not alone, So I was super excited to come visit her and record this episode. It's weird because I'm talking now, but we recorded in the past. Whatever. Without any further ado, here is episode 20 with my amazing friend, Lyndsay Carreno. All right, we're live, Lindsay.
Awesome. What's up, everybody?
What's going on?
Nothing. Welcome to DC, Andrew.
Thank you.
Isn't it beautiful?
DC is actually really cool.
Yeah. Your little brother was like, I can't believe you just live here. And I was like, people like live here. Besides Trump.
Yeah, besides Donald.
For the time being, at least.
Very true. Barron lives here now.
Oh, yeah, he does. Him and Melania moved in like a couple weeks ago. Good for them.
Pretty big news.
Welcome to the district. It's not a state.
It is most definitely not a state.
So license plates here say taxation without representation as like a joke.
Do they really?
Because we pay taxes, but we don't have representation.
That's so funny.
Yeah, isn't that? That's like
actually really funny.
Well,
I didn't know that.
that's like how America started too. Is people were like, we're done paying the king without representation. But here's DC.
King Donald. Cool. Well, this is the first podcast that's been recorded outside of the state of Georgia. So
nice.
That's like a milestone.
Heck yeah.
And this is also episode 20.
I know, I saw that.
Which is like a big deal.
That is a really big deal. You hit the ground running.
I really did. I really just wanted to like put out as much content as I could.
Well, laser focus is very powerful.
For sure. And like I've had this idea in my mind for a long time of like making a podcast, and I just haven't like fully bought in on it because I knew that I was gonna have to like buy stuff, like buying a mic, and like I knew that once I just bought the stuff, then I wasn't gonna like stop. So
yeah, well, that's true. You also want to think about it before you like invest in it. You want to make sure you're like actually devoted to it.
Yeah,
it makes sense
for sure.
But here you are.
Here I am.
Woohoo!
20th episode, and like today, I promise this whole podcast isn't about to be about my podcast, but today I was actually talking to this guy who has had a podcast for 5 years. And he has like 250 episodes or something. That's
crazy. You are way outpacing that.
And he was like, dude, like the amount of downloads that you're getting and like the amount of episodes you're putting out like is really, really impressive.
I just think podcast culture is like really taking off. Like
for sure.
Everybody I know up here like gets their news and their everything from podcasts, just because like the actual news and stuff nowadays you just can't even really trust.
It's really silly.
And like my roommate who's over here, she listens to a podcast every morning.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what it is?
I am unclear. She's going to tell us right now.
It's a Pod Save America.
Pod Save America.
That's like on the top.
Crooked Media, yeah.
It's like top charts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hop into that top charts. We're here in Lindsay's apartment, by the way, just so you have some
my
context
roommate's lurking in the corner.
With Lindsay and Dana. What's up? Shout out to Dana.
Yeah.
What's up?
Dana just moved to the district like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
So I've been here for 6 months. She just got here in the beginning or middle of May. So
nice.
Yeah, I like moved up here on a whim. She actually had a job. Her experience has been way cleaner than mine was.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk. We definitely need to talk about that because you literally moved to DC like.
Literally like in a 2-week span. I like walked in my living room and was like, Mom, I'm moving to DC next Friday. And she was like, oh, do you like need help? And I was like, yeah.
Probably.
I can't hang pictures with 2 hooks, so maybe you need to come up and do that. I can't use like levels. I'm not a real adult.
That's hilarious. But have you listened to any of my podcasts so far? I won't be offended if you haven't.
No, yeah, a few of them. They're
cool.
like long form, which I think is better.
I really like that too, because like I wanted to create podcasts that I like to listen to.
Yeah.
And I think like when I'm really into a podcast and it's only like an hour, sometimes I'm like craving more.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, dang, I feel like they kind of cut that short just for time.
Yeah.
You know?
And like sometimes podcasts will do like short episodes in it, so like an hour and a half, but they have like 30-minute segments, and I just think they like rush through content like that. And I think you're doing it the right way for sure.
Yeah, because I feel like I don't really want to have any real constraints. Like I haven't had any podcasts that have gone much longer than like 2.5 hours, which I feel like is kind of pushing it in a way, but because you kind of just cover all that you want to talk about and you're kind of just done at that point. But if this podcast goes longer than 2.5 hours, then it does. You know what I mean? I mean, like, I'm not saying that we have to do that or anything, because that would be a long podcast. And also, Lindsay is sick right now.
Yeah, so. I have strep throat, so I actually started a new job yesterday. I was in orientation, which it's a pretty big firm, so they just have everybody that's starting in every department in the same room. Wow. And I'm in there, and people are trying to shake my hand, and I'm like, you don't want to do this. I'm telling you, I'm a danger zone right now. But I made it through my first day, And then I went back in today and they were like, please leave.
Go home.
Yeah, you're not doing well, we can tell.
That's really funny.
And I'm like, what do you mean? I look beautiful. I'm just sweating while shivering. I think I look great. But yeah, so
That's amazing.
I got to hang out with my cat Murphy all day.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But so like in pretty much all my podcasts so far, I've pretty much started off like talking about how you were born and like your upbringing and stuff, but also I feel like your story kind of starts before that because like your parents are not from America, so that's a cool thing. So kind of just like go on that.
So my dad's story is really interesting. His dad worked for Snap-on Tools.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
is that an American company?
It is like originally, but they have outposts everywhere. So my dad lived in Mexico City when he was young, and his mom, my grandma, they had 7 kids. Every time she would be in labor or something, she would make it over the border because she wanted them to be able to be like naturalized citizens. So my dad is an American citizen, but he grew up in Mexico City and then Curacao, which is in Netherlands Antilles. It's right off the coast of Venezuela, and they speak Dutch. It's really strange.
Because it's a Dutch colony?
Yeah, it's a Dutch colony, but it's like in an area that's right off Venezuela, so everywhere down there speaks Spanish. So my dad is like multilingual. He spoke English because it was spoken in his house, but he didn't learn how to read or write it until he was 14. So,
wow.
Yeah. And then my dad was just like a super awesome dude. He got into Notre Dame, which was his dream school. He went to high school in Miami, Florida.
How did he get there?
His dad just moved all over, so they did some time in Mexico City, did some time in Curacao, and then they moved back to the States, and Miami was just sort of where they got placed. And that's when my dad was 14 when he started high school. It's when he learned how to read and write English seriously.
That's crazy. So he was in Miami as a 14-year-old, and he only knew Spanish and Dutch?
Yeah, he could speak and read and do everything in Spanish and speak and read in Dutch, but he could speak in English, but he couldn't, like...
write it and read it.
And I think that's hard for people to understand sometimes, is how much of an integral part of the language it is to be able to like read
for sure.
and write the language. But my dad was just a really smart guy, and I think he always wanted to have a better life. His family was super poor, and he had 7, there's 7 kids, he's one of 7, so 6 siblings. There's like videos of my dad when he was little opening a Christmas gift that was like his older brother's hand-me-down socks. And that was like his Christmas
Did he have to
gift.
pretend to be excited, or was he actually excited?
He was excited, and now when you watch it, it's so heartbreaking because he's like a little kid and he's so excited to open these old ass socks. But it's like, everything makes you into the person you are. My dad was a baller. He just decided he wanted better, so he got into Notre Dame. There's no way he or his family was going to be able to afford it, so he went to the Air Force Academy instead because it was free. He wanted to fly jets. That's like the only thing he wanted to do. He was colorblind. So, I've heard this story from my dad and from everybody he knew at the academy, but he memorized the colorblind book test because they normally gave it an order, and he was like ready to go in for his physical and be like 6, 2, 9, 11, 13, whatever the order was.
Whoa.
And that one day, for whatever reason, because fate is a crazy monster, they did it out of order.
Whoa.
And so he had no idea.
That's crazy.
So they told him, you're never going to fly a jet, ever.
That sucks. And it's because, the controls are...
Yeah, so he can't see red or green.
That's kind of a bad thing.
It's like a flashing red light to him is going to be like...
A flashing green light, let's go!
Yeah, it's like he has no idea what's going on, so...
Dude, that'd be a kind of a good thing that he didn't get to fly jets, because, that could have been bad, but,
He still flew planes when he got older, but he always had to have a co-pilot, because he's just...
Yeah.
His eyes weren't made for it. But people that tell that story that were at the academy with him, he came back just despondent.
That really sucks.
Imagine having your
So what did he end
crushed.
up doing in the Air Force?
So he wound up just doing clerical work, basically. He was an electrical engineer at the academy because he wanted to be able to fly and work on jets. And he decided he was going to work for the Air Force, give the time that he owed them, and he put himself through law school. He went to University of Denver. And then,
that's so cool.
Yeah, and then he went on to be such a badass.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, goals.
And your mom was from Panama?
No, my mom was born in Idaho.
Oh, wow.
And moved to Oregon when she was very little, but she has Portuguese background.
Is that, am I totally off?
No, Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was totally off then.
No, but it was a P Portuguese,
Okay.
Panama. No, so
I was I thought she was Panamanian for some reason.
Yeah,
so she was from Brazil, or
yeah,
she was born in...
She has like a Brazilian background, so she grew up mostly in the States, but when she was like 18, she did 1 year of college, and she was like, I want to go check out my roots type thing.
That's cool, because her parents were from Brazil?
Well, her mom was like half.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so she moved to Brazil when she was like 18 or 19. Yeah, and she lived there for a while. So my mom speaks fluent Portuguese.
I knew that. I was thinking Panama for whatever reason, the P thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But yeah.
So she speaks fluent Portuguese and English, and your dad spoke Dutch, English, and Spanish?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And do you speak anything besides English?
My Spanish is okay. My Portuguese is all right.
Yeah.
Did
your mom push that?
So because my dad's whole side of the family spoke Spanish, and Spanish and Portuguese are so similar. So my mom sort of just like assimilated to the Spanish.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And your dad has 7 or 6 other siblings.
Yeah, so 5 sisters and a brother.
You have like a really big Mexican side.
I always tell people, if you ever watch the movie like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, that's my family but Mexican.
My Big Fat Mexican Wedding.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's everybody's in everybody's business at all times. Everybody is crazy. You're always full. You never go without food. Even when you're done eating, it's like, keep eating, please.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was really cool. I had a lot of cousins. We were really close. We'd always go to Connecticut for a month when we were little. I don't really know why. I think because one of my aunts lived in New York and she had like a summer home.
That's cool.
Yeah, but we would all my cousins and I are really, 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 really close.
And then when did you move to England?
When I was 4.
That's so crazy. So most people don't really remember anything before they're 4. Your first memories are...
I weirdly remember my parents telling us. So we had this like...
Because it's like a big moment.
We had this like fancy living room in our house that wasn't like the real living room. They sort of pulled us in there, and that was like the room that you went to when you were in trouble. So everybody was kind of like...
You were always on your toes when you were in there?
Yeah, me and my brother were like, who did what? My brother's 3.5 years older than me, so he was almost 8. I was like 4. And my parents were like, we're moving to England. My brother rolled up a newspaper and hid behind a chair sobbing, was like, I'm not going.
Really?
I'm not going.
Because he was 7?
He was in 1st grade, I think.
So he had like just made his first friends and like doing fun stuff, and like it was like his whole world was going to be turned upside down.
And my dad just like kind of pulled me aside and was like, you're going to get to drink tea with the Queen, I promise. And I was like, sold. I'm like, yeah. Which so my brother's even more mad. He's like, can't you just be on our side for one time? And I'm like, you can be miserable. I'm moving to England.
I'm going to drink tea with the Queen.
Yeah. And then we moved. We lived in 2 different houses over there. The first one is just like so British, I swear. You know those houses that have like the white paneling and then like the steel X's on them? Like they look like Tudor houses. I could show you a picture, but
white paneling with
let me see if I can look it up for you. But they just, they're so British.
Tudor houses, okay.
Yeah. And I lived in like a little cul-de-sac. It was like a whole street. And I went to a school called ACS Hillingdon. So it's the American Community School. And there was a Hillingdon location and a Cobham location. And it's where most of the expats like sent their kids.
Gotcha.
Because
even if they were expats from different countries or expats from America?
So the cool thing about that school was like when you go to school in England, there's not really kindergarten, there's just like 1st grade, and you go to it when you're like really young, and the years and what you're learning and everything is just completely different. So my parents were like, well, we know we're going to go back to America at some point. So
why did they go originally? Because your dad's job?
Yeah, my dad worked for Raymond James. So everyone always thinks it's military because he was in the military, but my dad worked for Raymond James, and they decided they wanted to start an international branch.
What exactly is Raymond James for people who have no idea? And I kind of don't.
Yeah, so it's like a stockbroking firm. So they like connect people with stockbrokers and help them build profiles and invest. And my dad, even though he was a barred attorney, he, for the first 13 or 15 years of his career, he did not use his bar certificate. He did not do any attorney work. He did like high-level stockbroking.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so Raymond James is like, where I'm from, Tampa, Florida, that's their headquarters.
Yeah.
It's like the Tampa Bay Bucks Stadium is Raymond James Stadium. Yep. You've been there.
Yeah. Multiple times.
Yeah. And nowadays, when I was little, when my dad was in it, it was kind of like ground zero type thing, and now it's huge.
That's really crazy.
Branches all over the world. They like there's locations up here. You can work for Raymond James in DC. You can work anywhere. So my dad was actually really integral in beginning their international operation.
That's so cool.
And I think my dad just decided, because he had grown up in an international way, like living in so many different places, there was plenty of other people that could have gone that didn't have families, but I think he wanted to take us, to give us that experience.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah. He always says it was the greatest parenting choice he ever made.
That's really, really cool.
I mean, I can make friends with a brick wall.
Literally.
Because,
you can.
Yeah, because you have to. When you get moved like that, it's like you don't have any time to waste. You have to be able to just jump in. You don't have time to be shy.
That's really cool.
I feel bad.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I feel bad for people that are shy sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like I really want to do something like that with my kids because, like, not to say that I was robbed of that because obviously it's not a normal thing. It's not a normal thing, and also it's not a right. It's not a right. Mm-hmm. Like, most people won't ever experience anything like that. But like you said, it gives you so much.
Well, like, I have such a different view of the world. Mm-hmm. Like, kids that just grew up in, like, rural America or something, in suburban America.
And that's, like, all you know.
That's all you know. You go to college, you freak out. You, like, panic. Mm-hmm. You get all these different views, all these different opinions, and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think, in a weird way, like, going into a really diverse high school helped me out a lot. Because, like, for example, earlier, my Uber dropped me off in this, like, not sketchy area, but, it was, like, this, kind of typical what you would consider like a ghetto kind of area.
I mean, the projects are right next door to us and behind us. So you're in the projects.
I mean, to be completely blunt, there's like a whole bunch of like black kids running around and a bunch of like, just a bunch of black people walking around. I like to say it's always
420 in Columbia Heights.
and obviously, I have nothing against black people, but, a lot of times when in America, the stereotype is like, oh my gosh, this is a sketchy area, blah, blah, blah. And my Uber driver was kind of like, oh, are you sure this is the right area? I'm like, dude, it's cool. Like, I'm not scared or anything. Like, this is fine.
I mean, and people like assume that. I mean, he was probably like, oh, I don't want to drop this kid off here. But yeah, I think like growing up, I mean, my school that I went to in England, I told your parents this when I was at dinner with them. Mm-hmm. They had this separate schoolhouse out in the, first of all, my school was a manor house, like an old British, it was the coolest thing ever.
That's really cool.
It was like a palace, basically.
Huh.
And they had this separate schoolroom in the back, or schoolhouse, that had one-room schoolhouses, basically, by language. So there was like the Swedish schoolroom, and the Japanese schoolroom, and the Chinese schoolroom, and Dutch, and...
Even though it was an American school?
Yeah, and so basically it was called the ESL rooms, and it's English as a second language. And those kids would go in there until they were able to work with English well enough to be moved over. Mm-hmm. And so they would do like math and stuff with us because math is math. But they would go over and have like hours of English training.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And a lot of those kids now, like, they go to school, they went back to their home countries, or they stayed in England long term, and they all go to like really good universities or work in a really like diverse environment. So
that's cool.
I always tell people, like, my first crush that I remember, he was a little Swedish boy. His name was Frederick. I was crazy.
Fred.
I like attacked him, I think. I've never been chill.
That's so funny. Never been chill. That's actually a good way of putting it. So, that's really, really cool. So you moved to London, and then when did you move back?
So we moved back in time for my brother to start high school, so that he was 14. So I must have been like 11 or 12, around that age.
Were you sad to leave?
So that's what's so funny is by the time it was time to go, my brother had made such a home in England that he was like, can you guys, my school, the Cobham location of my school was a boarding school. So he was like, will you guys move me to the Cobham location and let me board and let me stay? Huh. But my brother has always been like savant level smart with math and science. He can do the craziest math problems in his brain. When he was little, 3 or 4, he would come up to people and be like, what's your name? And spell it with numbers like A is 1 and B is 2.
Whoa.
Like off the top of his head.
That's some like Rain Man shit.
Mm-hmm. And so my dad and my mom, I think, just really wanted him to come back go to high school in the States so that he could go to a really good university.
That's cool.
So when we left, I mean, like, I was sad, but because I had gone through the change of moving there.
And you knew, like, the whole time there was, like, an expectation of moving back.
And I, like, kind of grew to like change. Like, I tell people now,
that's cool.
like, whenever we would move house when we lived in Florida, or now, like, when I moved to college or when I moved here, I always just get really excited. Like, a lot of people get nervous, but I just think, like, changing a lot is, I hate staying still for too long. It's so cliche, but I just...
No, I feel you. I think, I don't even know why I kind of have that too. I don't really know why, because my parents have lived in the same house since I was born, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think my mom hates to admit it, but I think she's the same way as me, because...
She, like, moved to Brazil when she was 18. That's pretty crazy.
And when we moved home from England, we moved to the same house we lived in before. We rented it, which was, like, our family home. And we moved out of it after a year, and we moved again, and then we moved again, and my mom just moved again. So she likes to act like she'll always be like, I hate change. I'm like, but do you?
Yeah.
I don't think you do.
Yeah. Well, like, one of the definitions of stress is, like, the body's response to change, right? So it's like stress literally comes from change. So no one really, I feel like, wants to admit that they like change because it inherently produces stress.
Yeah.
But I think some people are also kind of like stress addicts too. Like, you're addicted to that, like, always on the move. Like, I don't want to be stagnant. I don't want to be comfortable. Like, let's change shit.
Yeah. I mean, I just always have been like that. Always.
That's really cool.
Maybe I am like adrenaline junkie, but with stress.
Yeah.
My move up here was, like, really stressful. So.
I'm sure. Yeah.
You should hear that. That story is crazy.
Yeah. I feel like we'll get to that for sure, because we're kind of, like, going along a little bit.
So I moved home. You
went to high school in Tampa. Did you go to a private school?
So I went to school in St. Pete, so I'm really from the St. Pete side of things, which doesn't mean anything to anybody unless they're from there. But, like, Dana's from Tampa, which is so crazy, because she was one of my really good friends in college. We did not know each other
before that. Wow, that's interesting.
But so I moved schools a lot when I got back home from England. I had a hard time adjusting, honestly. I got bullied kind of bad at the first two schools I tried.
Why do you think, like...
I don't know.
What kind of bullying?
Like, I was kind of overweight, honestly. And, like, being unsure of my appearance and being attacked for it made me try to, like, overcompensate by being, like, too funny or too in your face with people. And that backfired also, because then it was like I was getting bullied for being annoying and loud. So I went to 2 different schools when I first got back, and then I finally settled in and I went to private Catholic high school.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Was it, like, super strict?
It was. People like to act like it wasn't, but because I've always been such an outgoing person, like, I kind of had a target on my back. And it was strict.
Always getting in trouble and stuff?
Oh, I was always in trouble.
That sucks.
My senior superlative was administration's most wanted.
That's so funny.
I know. Oh.
Hey, kitty.
Murphy's tearing down the curtains right now.
Yeah, don't do that, buddy. That's funny.
Yeah.
So high school was kind of rough or not?
Like, I had really good friends. I always had friends in high school, but I mean, I was always in trouble. And because I was always in trouble, my grades suffered. And my mom and dad used to just joke, like, we just want to get you graduated. Like, just graduate.
Yeah, makes sense.
This story is so terrible, but this is, like, the epitome of my high school experience. I had a fake ID at age, like, 16. And I went into a liquor store to buy 2 handles of Captain Morgan because, like, who am I? And my religion teacher was in there.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What happened?
He, like, looks at me at first and is like, hey, Lyndsay. And then I think the clogs in his head turned enough that he was like, wait.
Oh, no.
Why are you holding 2 handles of Captain Morgan, and why are you in this liquor store? And I literally put them down on the floor, ran back to my car, and drove away.
What happened then when you saw him?
So it was spring break. It happened, like, Tuesday for our spring break, so I didn't go back to school for, like, 6 days. And I get called into the dean's office, like, immediately.
Oh, no. Like, he told the school.
Yeah, like, first period, they're like, Lyndsay Carreno to the dean's office. And they make a school-wide announcement every time that happens, by the way.
That's so annoying.
I'm like, oh, yeah, just me. And I went in, and they were just like, can you just explain, like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, where do you want to begin?
That's so funny.
But I just played it off like, I don't even have a fake ID. Like, I don't know what I was thinking, but, like, thank God that he was there to stop me from making that mistake. And they were
That's
like,
so funny.
Bless you, child. But I almost didn't get to walk my graduation. That was, like, right before graduation. And they, like, told me, they're like, we are going to consider seriously if you're, like, going to be allowed to walk.
Whoa. That's so funny. When did you start drinking? Obviously, it's kind of like a weird situation, but...
14 or 15.
Yeah.
I think when you live in a beach town like that where people go to vacation...
that's so true.
Everybody just acts like you're always on vacation. And, like, think about if you had a location where you and your friends could have gone and drank.
Oh, that's so true,
that you, like, would have. So, like, we always just went to the beach and would, like, pound a Four Loko and think it was funny.
Yeah, that's so true, though, because, like, in Georgia, it was always so hard to find a place. Like, oh, I can't go to my house. Let's go to the river. But, like, the river's, like, cold as tits. So you're just, like... Yeah, there was never, like, a good place. And then you'd also have to, like, drive home or something.
So my best friend in high school, her name's Madison, she had her own house. So her family lives in a 3-part house on the water, and the front house is her parents, like the family home, and then her grandparents live in another one, and then her and her older sister lived in their own. And Chloe graduated...
Why was that the situation? Just because?
Just because that's how they had it set up. They were like, the girls are old enough that they can live in their own house, and they have 2 younger siblings, the 2 boys, that lived in the family house.
Whoa.
And so, like... And she lived a 4-minute, if that, walk to the beach, to Treasure Island Beach.
So you just go get hammered at her house and then walk to the beach?
Mm-hmm.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And
That's so funny.
Her dad was a WWE wrestler. He was part of the Nasty Boys. Yeah. So we would try to get away with...
This story's getting crazy.
Yeah, his name is Jerry Sags. He's, like, missing a tooth. He's awesome. But he's huge. He's, like, 6-something, 200-something pounds, like, massive block of steel man. And we would try to have parties because everybody knew Madison had that house. So everyone was like, can we just, like, come park our cars there and, like, hang out for a little bit? And it would always be like, okay, 10 people, 30, 40, and now it's a party. And her dad would come out with, like, a shovel or something and be like, what are you doing in this house? And everybody would just, like, flee. She was like, oh my God, no.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
it's so true, though, because kids, like, just need a spot to do things.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd always end up going to the woods. Like, in Georgia, you're always like, let's go, like, drink in the woods behind the pool or something like that.
Yeah, but so, like, Florida made it easy.
Another thing that you were talking about a while ago when I was visiting you in Florida was that, like, because I was asking, I was like, why does everyone have fake tits here? And you were like, it's because, like, everyone is always half naked all the time.
So that was another reason, like, living in Florida is really hard as like, I've never been super thin or anything like that. It's really hard because people here are like, oh, I gotta get ready for bikini season. Like, no, in Florida, it's December, it's bikini season.
It's bikini season 24 hours a day.
Yeah, every 365, like, you're not escaping it. And, I mean, if you look at girls who go to, like, Florida State and Miami and, like, the way they dress and the way they look, it's a lot of pressure.
For sure.
A lot of pressure. There's no relief from it. There's no, like, oh, it's cold, I can wear a sweater. So, yeah, I know so many people that have fake boobs. So many people that are my age, 23, that have had their lips done, this done, that done. I have a girl I went to high school with who just openly posted about her nose job.
So interesting.
And she's younger than me, 21 maybe.
Wow.
It's like, you haven't even finished growing.
Literally.
Really, you haven't. So just maybe chill.
Yeah.
And because I grew up away from that and had to come back to it, it was...
That is weird.
Yeah, it was weird to come back.
Did you guys live in Florida before you left?
Mm-hmm. So I was born in Tampa.
Interesting. So then, after high school, you were just like, I need to get the fuck out of Florida?
Well, I had terrible grades. I had like a 2.8 GPA graduating high school. So I literally was just like, I'm going to go wherever anybody accepts me.
Gotcha.
Shout out.
Auburn was the move.
Shout out Auburn.
Shout it out. War Eagle.
War Eagle. That being said, I did apply to Florida State and I did get in, but...
Like you said, lots of pressure and it's just weird.
It just seemed like such a toxic environment.
I agree.
Like 13th grade, like all these girls that I went to high school with that would be like, I hate her. She is always talking to my boyfriend and is so annoying. They went to Florida State together and joined the same sorority together and are still best friends. And it's so confusing to me because I'm like, I know you don't really like this person. And like, I have one very, very good, I have Madison to show for high school. And some people think that that's sad or something because I only have one like real friend, but.
From high school, you're saying? Yeah.
But I made so many good friends in college that will be my friends for life.
Totally.
That actually I'm like they're my friends. In a real way.
High school is weird because you kind of are forced to be people's friends because it's the situation, like you're literally limited by geography.
And it's like you have to, even if you
find somebody to be friends with.
Even if you want to tell someone to screw off for the rest of time because they do something that's actually really mean to you, like you have to see them every day.
So true.
It's like, what are you going to do?
High school is so weird.
So weird. So weird.
Looking back on it, I don't even realize how weird it was.
It was so weird. I was so disinterested in it from the get-go.
And it was Catholic school too, so it was like really small. How many people graduated with you?
I think max 200.
Okay.
Probably between 150 and 200.
Still, that's super, super small.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And like...
And when you go to a private school too, you also have to deal with like, I mean, the stereotypical rich kids that haven't been, you know, like you were raised really well. Your parents really
But that's another thing
and
about where I'm from in Florida is it's like there's a lot of wealth there. To be able to afford to live where I live, there's just like a different, like even the poorest are richer than in some areas.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And there's girls that are like rolling up in their brand new BMW and stuff at age 16.
Like
weird, just so weird.
I didn't get a 5 Series. My dad got me a 3 Series.
Yeah. I mean, but seriously, like so spoiled. And then there was people who were...
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, there was people whose parents literally seemed like they'd rather just give their kids money than
actually care.
Than parent, yeah. Like, here's $1,000, go do something.
But it's almost like a lot of parents don't have that privilege, so it's almost like when given an option, they're just kind of like, I'll just throw money at this situation just like I do with every other situation in my life.
Yeah. But
it's like, pretty crazy.
There's a lot of kids from my hometown that like just didn't go to college or just sort of like failed out of college. And I think it is really true that growing up in a vacation spot like that where everybody has money, it's just this weird
promotes like lackadaisical lifestyle.
Yeah. These kids have never worked for anything. They go to college, they get their first C and they're like, no.
Not doing this. Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Was when did your brother have Mia? Before you went to college or after?
I was in my sophomore year at Auburn.
Okay, gotcha.
So
you go to Auburn. You join a sorority, meet lots of cool people.
I didn't go join a sorority my first year.
Oh, that's cool.
I wanted it to be something that I chose and not something that I felt like I had to do because everyone else was doing.
That's really cool. So I feel like that's the type of person you are anyways.
Yeah, so I waited till my sophomore year. I went through recruitment my sophomore year.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, which was great. I mean, Jessie, who you know, she was in my sorority. She was the pledge class above me, but I still hung out with them. Like, Abby's in the pledge class above me, too. But I got to jump between two, kind of, which was nice.
That actually is cool.
Yeah, I got to bond with everybody. But yeah, so...
I mean, and for people that are listening, you know, like, for example, on my podcast with Elizabeth Ward, we kind of, like, talked briefly on, like, the whole sorority thing. Kind of shit on it a little bit, just because there obviously are, like, lots of stereotypes surrounding that. But, like, from your experience, like, and all of the girls that I've met in your sorority, like... Really, really cool people.
Yeah.
Definitely not the stereotypical, like, sorority situation. Why do you think that was the case?
The thing I love the most about Sigma Kappa is how diverse our pledge class was. So, like, every year I was a member, we had more than one black girl in our pledge class, which sounds like, okay. But in Alabama, we maybe were the only sorority doing it.
Wow.
And we really, like, it wasn't about appearance. It wasn't about anything like that. We just genuinely were down for, like, cool girls, smart girls, driven girls that wanted to do something good for the Auburn community.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I remember when I was on the other side of it, when I was in Sigma Kappa and I was recruiting girls, I didn't care what shoes you were wearing or what dress you were wearing. Like, if you're down to talk to me about what Harry Potter house you're in and why, like, let's do this. You know?
That's cool.
So,
and
like,
I feel like people also, I mean, some people listening to this won't realize how racist Alabama
Oh,
is.
so bad.
Like,
So bad.
like you
It's
said,
so
pretty
bad.
much most sororities would, like, just because
Yeah.
someone's black, they're
I mean, we've had-
they're cool, but, like, can't have them.
We've had multiple sororities on our campus get in trouble for purposefully dropping girls for no other reason than race.
Wow, that's fucked.
So that's part of the reason why Sigma Kappa to me like stood out, was because we didn't care at
That's really
all,
cool.
at all. And a lot of sororities on campus won't take sophomores because it doesn't look good for them. And Sigma Kappa did not care.
What does it even mean? Doesn't look good for them? Like, oh, they were the rejects from last year?
Yeah,
Even though you didn't rush?
yeah, but they didn't care.
That's so fucked.
So like the entire sorority experience, don't get me wrong, is like bullshit, super bullshit. A lot
Because,
of
I
it.
mean, obviously some people are like, well, you're just paying for your friends. Why wouldn't you hang out with these people anyways?
Yeah, but when you get in it, like when you're on the other side of it, like there's literally a point system. And part of the points are appearance. That there's no joke, there's no way around it. It's like appearance, conversation, intelligence, involvement.
You're saying in pledgeship or once you're already in
when you're in the sorority and you're recruiting other girls.
Whoa, and you're literally like
So you talk,
judging these girls.
You talk to a girl, you talk to like several, they come in for like 45 minutes, this whole group of girls.
They're coming to like try out,
Yeah,
essentially.
and you will talk to like 5 of them in one, it's called a party. You can talk to them.
It's called a party.
Yeah, it's not fun at all.
It's not a party.
And when they leave, you have to like look at them and get their like recruitment number, and you go back, and there's 10 minutes between
You're
parties.
like, number 465.
Yeah.
We had a great conversation, but she's kind of ugly and she's kind of a bitch.
Yeah, I always gave people perfect rating on appearance, because no matter what they look like, no matter what they were wearing, you know they tried their hardest because it's recruitment.
So true.
I don't care.
Wow.
And
That's very true.
And I know that most girls in my sorority did the same.
That's cool.
So, and like, because Jessie was already in the sorority when I joined, I remember her coming up to me and being like, "I've heard you've been to Ultra." And I was like, "Here, honey, I'm home. Let's
That's
do
so
this."
cool.
So like part
Word
of
on the street is that you're a rave girl.
yeah, part of the reason I'm a Sigma Kappa is because of Abby and Jessie.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know what Ultra is, it's an electronic music festival in Miami, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's the bomb. You should
Yeah.
go. Everybody should go.
And
Except for DJ Khaled, don't go.
yeah, well, he was at EDC, so
That was
EDC
ridiculous.
is. I've never been to EDC. I have weird feelings about EDC, but we can talk about that later when we talk about music festivals.
Yeah.
So we definitely need to talk about music festivals on this podcast because that's like a big part of our relationship for
it
real.
is.
But that's really interesting. So your sorority, you're kind of just like. It seems like your sorority was very different than the others.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, you can't generalize it. There was definitely some girls in our sorority who were very cliquish and very mean, but
How many people are in the sorority as a whole?
So each pledge class is about 80, so you have about 250
That's crazy.
active members at a time. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely cliques. My pledge class got a hard time with cliques, and they didn't really figure it out until my senior year, that it's not worth leaving people out. It's more fun to have everybody included. I think, especially at Auburn, because the sororities are so big, you're bound to find your place, and there's also bound to be people that you don't like, which
Yeah.
is very weird to be like in an
I don't like this girl in my sorority because you're
Yeah.
supposed to be sisters, but sometimes sisters don't like each other.
Yeah, and when I first joined, it would be so crazy because obviously everyone wears their sorority shirts on campus, and I would see people in like Sigma Kappa stuff and be like, "Who are you? I've never seen you."
That's
But we're in
kinda
the,
weird.
We're in the same letters, so.
Like, hey. And it's a rule you have to say hi to people that's in your sorority, right?
Well, the older girls are supposed to say hi to the younger girls.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Which not to like float my own boat, I really always made an effort to get to know the younger pledge classes below me. So, like, Jules and Hannah, who are our friends, they're in Sigma Kappa also, but they're younger than me by a year.
Yeah.
And Annie's also in Sigma Kappa. So, and Annie and I especially would really try to get to know the girls below us, just because like you don't really know what you're doing at college when you first get there.
Totally.
It's so scary, and you are so confused, and you have no idea like what's going on.
Totally.
I always wanted to be a mom.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
you
really
know?
cool.
So-
Helping people is always the best.
Yeah, like I'm still really close with my or my sorority family, which is
Yeah.
so lame. But like my little, my grand little, my great grand little,
Yeah.
my great great grand little.
But that's really cool, though.
Yeah, like my phone right now. Yeah, my phone right now is like blowing up with them.
That's awesome. So it wasn't just like you made fake friends, you made real friends.
I tried to.
That's
Because
good.
I was like, if I'm gonna be in this and I'm gonna pay to be in this, I'm gonna make it.
Exactly.
So that's the thing.
And
about,
like people don't understand like what are the dues for? Because it's not like you're just paying to be in it. You're
No.
like paying for actual things.
yeah, so we had a chapter room, so we pay to have the chapter room cleaned once a month really well. Sometimes there'd be snacks in there, you're paying for that, or like catering in there. We went to like Hawks games or Braves games, you pay for that, your dues pay for that.
And you're like taking a bus down there and all that stuff.
Your dues pay for your formals. Your dues pay for, you get like your sorority portrait picture done.
Yeah.
Your dues pay for that. Like truthfully, Auburn's dues are really low because we didn't have houses.
Oh,
So we paid maybe like $2,000 a semester.
oh, that's not bad at all compared to like what I've heard from.
And it gets cheaper as the longer you're in. So like my senior year was like $800 each semester. I'm not kidding.
That's cool.
Sorry.
This kitty cat is
It's terrorizing.
terrorizing our podcasting environment.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay. it's all natural. It's all good. But to kind of move on a little bit, so like you said, your brother had
His daughter.
his daughter when you were a sophomore. How did that like?
So this.
Obviously, that changes a lot.
I hate this story so much. I woke up to a text that said, "What up, Aunt Lyndsay?"
Whoa.
And I, of course, freak out. I call him. I go, "That's not funny. It's really not funny." And he's like, "Well, I'm glad it's not funny because Courtney's literally pregnant."
Whoa.
Little backstory about her: no one liked her. No one in the family.
What up, Courtney?
She was not. No, she will not even hear this. She
DM it to her.
She doesn't even read books. I swear. Sorry, I'm evil. No one liked her.
Gotcha.
From the first time she met our family, my mom was like, no. And I vividly remember me and my mom being like, the worst thing he can do is knock this girl up.
Whoa.
And surprise.
Mia.
Who, in the end, like, I cannot imagine life without her. And
She's the cutest.
I'm so thankful that my dad got to experience being a grandpa before he passed.
Yeah.
And my brother's an amazing dad. But
That's really cool.
I always kind of hoped my brother would go back to school.
Yeah.
Or like,
And like you said, he's super smart.
and it's not that he can't.
Yeah, of course.
People have worked with harder situations. It's
sure.
just gonna be like
really hard now.
really, really hard. Because he's the
course.
primary parent.
Of course.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
life is a winding road.
Most definitely.
He'll figure it out. But yeah, Mia's the bomb.
Yeah, she's a savage.
She's so savage. Her real name is Camilla. I didn't know if
Yeah.
you knew that. So
Yeah, I
it's like the
did.
Spanish of Camilla.
Yeah, but it's not spelled with the two L's, right?
And so my dad and I used to make the argument like, like gringos are gonna say Camilla. And so my brother was like, well, I'm just gonna put a Y in it.
So it's literally like
They can't even pretend.
Camiyah, right?
It's EYA, but yeah.
Camilla.
Yeah, Camilla.
Yeah, makes sense.
But everyone calls her Mia. I call her
Yeah.
Mimi.
Yeah, me.
She's savage.
Yeah.
She's
that's super
weirdly
cool.
smart too.
She seems really clever. She seems
Yeah.
really smart.
She's been talking like perfectly since she was maybe 2.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool though. So to kind of like move on in this story, you were in college, and then what was your major?
I majored I got 2 degrees, 2 BAs, poli-sci and history.
Nice.
So not a double major. I earned 2 separate
Two
degrees.
separate degrees. That's badass. That's pretty double BA.
Yeah.
And like so to kind of also tie this into the EDM stuff, when did you start like going to raves and like listening to that kind of music and stuff?
So my freshman year roommate was from Miami. She was like, we should go to this festival called Counterpoint. It's like right in Atlanta. Skrillex and Avicii are playing.
Yeah.
Bass Nectar, Blau, like
Pretty Lights.
Pretty Lights, like let's go. And I'm like, I had been to Avicii at home and like some other low-key raves with my friend Madison, but I was like, for sure, like let's go to this festival. And I just remember getting there and being just like mesmerized. Like
That was the most magical festival ever. It was Counterpoint 2012. Yeah. Best lineup ever too.
just being like, holy crap. Like, I'm going to do this forever.
So for people who don't know, so like Counterpoint, it was the first year of this festival. It was right at like peak dubstep, like 2012, when the music was the best and it wasn't mainstream yet. So people who didn't know. And
The golden age, as we call it.
yeah, the golden age for sure.
Skrillex was in like a small tent. And, oh, well, he was on.
No, he's on the main stage, but like he wasn't known to the point where people are like, oh yeah, Skrillex, I know who that is. Like,
I'm just gonna
people
go.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he was like one of the main headliners, but it was to the point where
I feel like
this festival was completely undersold. Like, there was no way it was maxed out at all.
At all.
My dad, funny story. So my dad owns a Dippin' Dots business.
Yeah.
My dad sold Dippin' Dots at that Counterpoint, and it was like a total fail for him.
Low-key ate Dippin' Dots at that Counterpoint.
You probably got them from my dad.
Shout out, Dad.
But like on the real though, my dad like was like, that festival was a fail. Like, I didn't make very much money.
Yeah.
There wasn't that many people there.
Well, do you remember the mud?
My dad sold Dippin' Dots to Steve Angelo.
That's so cool. We should have gotten a picture.
I know, right? This guy after him was like, aren't you going to give him Dippin' Dots for free? And my dad was like, I literally have no idea who that man is. I have no idea who this Swedish guy is. Steve Angelo is one of the members of Swedish House Mafia.
Yeah, he's the reason they broke up, by the way.
Yeah, because he lives in LA and like the rest of them live like...
Well, and it was like...
And he has a kid, right? And the other ones don't.
He's like the Tom DeLonge.
Hey, fuck you, cat. This cat just attacked me through this
I'm so
curtain.
sorry. Murphy does that sometimes. He's like
It's
a
okay.
savage animal.
It's okay.
Can you please get your son, Dana?
Yeah, he's fucked up right now.
It's okay. He just attacked me, but it's all good.
Freaking the fuck out, like, under the couch, so I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Anyways, yeah, so Counterpoint was like the beginning. And then that same roommate, her
It's
name
funny
was-
because we were like in the same time period. So I was like a freshman in college, and I like saw that lineup, and I'd only been to like concerts before. Like, I'd
Yeah.
seen Skrillex in concert, but
Yeah.
I'd never.
At the Tab, right?
Yeah, at the Tabby, which is the craziest
So
thing of all
amazing.
time.
Amazing.
Yeah, I talked about that on my podcast with my friend Adam, the first episode. But yeah, that festival was like kind of life changing. Oh my gosh.
Well, then so that same roommate was like, do you want to go to Ultra? She's from Miami, so she's like,
Yeah.
we can stay for free. It's on our spring break. Like, I think we should go. I was like,
Perfect.
You don't have to ask me.
And that was
twice.
2013.
Yeah.
Nice.
Swedish House Mafia's last show ever.
Ooh, I remember watching the live stream of that.
So, bought my flights, flew down there, and that was really the beginning. That was like, this scene is so awesome. That was the first time I saw Dylan Francis too. I think Dylan Francis had a lot to do with me being into like EDM.
Do you play the worldwide stage?
At like 2 p.m.
Oh my gosh.
I have a video
wish.
somewhere of ID Gaffos playing
Oh my gosh.
and me being like, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So
Dylan, that was also like peak Dylan too.
And you saw the blonde hair.
Oh yeah.
When he was trying to make fun of Flux.
Yep. So funny.
Yeah, that was the beginning for me.
What a trendsetter. Now everyone's doing that.
And then it was like, I just like couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend at the time was the same way. He was at that Ultra too.
Yeah.
Different group. And it was just like, from then on, it was like bass hunting.
That's crazy.
Went everywhere we could. I mean, one of my favorite memories of concerts was Mothership Tour. I don't know if you remember that.
Skrillex, yeah.
Skrillex, Dylan Francis, Milo and Otis, and What's So Not.
Oh my gosh. Where do they play?
Here. I drove here for it.
Echo Stage?
They played at Pimlico, which is in Baltimore technically. It's like a racetrack. It's where Moonrise is.
Moonrise.
I can't say it.
Yeah, no, that's tight. Oh my gosh.
I drove all the way up here.
So that was when you had the spaceship?
Yeah.
Oh, I never saw the spaceship.
That was amazing.
Dude, like, my love for Skrillex is unending, and I've only seen him like 4 times.
You can never get enough.
Yeah. Like, I was talking to my brother earlier, I was like, the lineup for Lost Lands, the only thing that could make it better for me is if Skrillex is on it.
I don't know if Skrillex is going to make dubstep that much anymore.
I don't know either. I think he's got to kind of chill. Like, I don't blame him either, because that year of 2012, he averaged for that year, I think, like over 400 shows that year.
Yeah.
Meaning he played more than 1 show per day.
Yeah.
Some days he played like 3 or 4, because some days he didn't play any.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know.
Skrillex is the man. But anyways, so...
That was really, that was like the beginning.
And then that kind of started it, and you've been to like countless
Yeah.
both of us have been to like countless festivals.
Yeah.
Really.
So many and so many concerts, everything.
Yeah.
Because once you see somebody that's really good, it's like, wow, I want to see them again and again and again and again and again.
Totally.
And like a lineup will come out and you're like, wow.
You have to.
Yeah.
And I think festivals are so big right now too because it's like a physical manifestation of the internet, kind of. Like we hang out with people on the internet all the time that are in our like little niche groups. Like, oh, I'm in this Facebook group for dubstep or whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh, I wish that these people would just all hang out together. And then like at a music festival, they do, you know?
I think like Donald Trump is outside of my apartment right now.
Yeah, I think Donald Trump is like...
Actually, though, Marine One flew over our apartment like a couple days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty
Which
crazy.
is like Trump's helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard he was in Florida, but now he's back.
He's always in my shit. He's always in one of my states. Like I can't stress enough how much I hate it. He's either in Mar-a-Lago or in the White House, and I'm like, can you just leave my locations, please?
You're terrorizing my family.
Yeah, seriously.
That's so funny.
But
you're good.
yeah.
There was literally a police car. You're good.
Yeah, my roommate's opening her nightly Oreos.
That's an issue.
Oreos are the best.
My dad like is just such an old man. He would have Oreos every single night and dip them in peanut butter. And then my mom would go to make us lunch, and the peanut butter jar would have like weird black crumbs in it, and she'd be like, Kevin,
can
you take the peanut butter out first?
That's so funny.
Yeah. So I actually met you at an Excision show.
Yes. So we were in Atlanta, and I was wearing a Pizza Slime shirt.
Oh, God bless. I want one so bad.
For real. Shout out to Pizza Slime. But,
You're wearing the one that's like has the Target logo but says Chanel.
Yep. And you were wearing a Mad Decent hat, so I was like...
I lost that moshing at Flux Pavilion at Echo Stage, and I'm devastated.
It's very sad.
I handmade a Mad Decent beanie, and I lost it.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Start a GoFundMe, crowdfund for my
Kickstarter for Lyndsay's beanie.
Anyways, yeah, I just tapped you on the shoulder and was like, I love your shirt. Pizza Slime is the bomb. Also is an Excision, and you were like, yeah, Excision, the dopest.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I remember just like we were just kind of near each other the whole time too.
Yeah, well then I feel like we squatted up.
Yeah, we kind of squatted up a little bit. It was me and my friend Calvin and you and Voldemort. No.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Just he who shall not be named.
Yeah.
And
Trump Jr.
Oh my god. On the real, he might listen to this, so
he definitely will.
Shout out.
Hey.
So awkward. But anyways,
my now ex, but
yes,
was current boyfriend, Tyler.
Yes. Shout out Tyler.
Hey. He was maybe more into dubstep than I am, but don't tell him I said that.
Don't tell him, Tyler, if you're listening to this, you didn't hear that.
Erase it.
But anyways, so but yeah, we were like at this concert, and then I think
you were like, add me on Snapchat.
Yeah,
which you do to everybody.
Yes, I was like, add me on Snapchat, or it might have been Instagram, or I can't remember, but it was like...
It was definitely Snapchat, and it was right when Snapchat came out with the messaging feature. Because you and I would like hit each other back and forth, like you'd put something on your story, and I'd be like, yo, it's so dope. Or you did this thing for a while where like you added new songs to your SoundCloud, and you would like play them for people in your story.
Yeah,
and
be like, do that more.
You're like, new music time, and I would like screenshot it and be like, yo, this track is dope. And I don't remember what the next moment we had that we were like gonna be in the same place, but I just remember hitting you up and being like, you should come pregame with us and like hang out, and you did.
Yeah.
It might have been. I don't want to say it was the Excision because that would have been a full year later.
No, I think it was something else. I cannot remember what it was.
Me neither.
But yeah, I definitely remember like talking on Snapchat, and then also we were like. Ultra came around again, and like we both weren't there, and we were like really sad, and we were like watching the live stream.
Every time I'm not at Ultra is like a damn shame.
Yeah, for real.
Ultra is my playground.
Yeah, Ultra.
I haven't been in 2 years, but it's next year. There's no way I miss it.
Ultra is really the best.
I always tell people that are into the scene. It depends on what you're into. If you want to go to a rave, like if you are really into rave culture, like Candy Kids and stuff, which no judgment, that's not my scene, but a lot of people that still is. Spend your money and go to EDC Vegas because it is like a Candyland, Wonderland fantasy world. And it's a rave. It's like totally like built on love and like hippie vibes and just
it's at night, so it's all lights.
Super, super, super rave. I always tell people Ultra is an EDM music festival. It's not a rave.
Yeah, it's not a rave because you also have like the Ausla stage that's like
It's
not
definitely
candy kids at all.
Well, I would feel people that there's such a low percentage of people that wear candy stuff at Ultra, like the tutus and stuff, that it's almost like
I feel like the people that do are at the Carl Cox stage
it's like
and like the
embarrassing
mega structure. Slightly embarrassing
for their souls and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, don't do that here.
Yeah, like last year I wore like normal stuff.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I usually just wear like a random ass crop top and jean shorts, but it's so hot at Ultra.
Yeah, Ultra's like stupid hot and dusty. This past time it actually wasn't that crazy dusty, thank
That's
God.
good.
But normally it's really dusty.
I mean, I have
because it rained. It rained a lot.
I have a video on my phone of me at the bass pod in Vegas, like dubstepping, and I have the Snapchat filter for the weather, and it's 114 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, EDC Vegas. Like, I don't know if I'll ever go.
I don't know.
Because
I just feel like you've heard so many bad things from me, but I'm not gonna lie to you.
it's not even just from you though. It's like, okay, number one, the traffic is terrible. You have to like get from your hotel to the festival, which sounds like a terrible shit show. Like, I love camping festivals because you can just like
wake up and you're there.
and you're there.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Ultra, at least you're like in the heart of the city, so you can kind of wake up in your hotel and you only have to walk a little bit or take the metro or whatever. But EDC Vegas, it's like what, like 40 minutes away from the strip, 45?
I fucking wish it was 45 minutes. So I don't know, the year I went, there was construction everywhere or what was going on, like road work. I'm not kidding you, Andrew, when I tell you it literally took 2.5, almost 3 hours to get there one day.
Did you Uber?
No, there's shuttles. So the way EDC does it is when you buy your EDC wristband, there's also an option for shuttles. It's $100 for the whole weekend, which is actually really affordable.
Totally. Considering the ticket itself is what, like 400,
yeah.
300?
If there was nothing else in your way, the entire way there, it's a 45-minute drive from the strip, which is where everybody stays because you want to wake up and go to pool parties and you want to go to some of these residencies at night. So it makes sense. Everybody stays on the strip. So if there was no traffic, nothing in your way, it would be a 45-minute drive. No, there's traffic. There's so much traffic because people also like drive to EDC. And then there's these coach buses that come. They leave from Treasure Island, the Palms, like a bunch of hotels on the strip. And they're so fun. Like, they don't care what you bring on them. So people are like doing shots, partying. EDC has it set up really well that there's like rave music playing. So it's like a party bus. But like, I mean, Saturday, our friend Zach and I, we were like, we want to see Troy Boy at 10 p.m. on the bass pod. We left the hotel at 7:15. We're on our coach bus by 7:30. We got there in time for Troy Boy to close.
So it was like 11.
Yeah.
Damn. And what time does it get dark? 10?
Like 8 or 9.
So it's already dark. Damn. That sucks.
And like,
And it's still hot as balls.
And as fun as it sounds to go into the morning time, your body's just, unless you like pre-train yourself to be nocturnal.
That's another thing, is I know that because, number one, I've done Ultra Europe, and that is a rally.
It's hard as hell.
That is a rally. It's hard to go from sundown to sunup. It's hard.
It's not fun, really.
It's not. By the end, you're just crawling.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, it took, 2.5, 3 hours to get back from the strip. So now you're sweaty, you're like, it's just over it. You're just so like, I've just dubstep from dusk till dawn, like it's time. I mean, we would leave, the last set ends at 6 a.m. But the gates are open till 7 and like people will like hang around the Cosmic Meadow and like run around and stuff. So we would leave at like 6 almost every day. I wasn't like home in bed in a shower until 11 or noon in that time period. So then you're sleeping, but then it's like you gotta be up probably at like 4 to get ready, eat, pregame, get on a bus.
Not fun. Like, that's my thing, is like, I'm not into that at all. Like, the lineup, so fire. Stages,
Always.
environment, fire. But I'm just like,
literally the
I'll pass.
The bass pod caught on fire.
Yeah, literally.
And Circuit Grounds. Excision caught both the stages he played on fire last year and this year.
Yeah, and I heard during RoboKitty, he like broke the speakers like twice.
Yeah.
Excision is God. But anyway.
Seriously.
So,
no, but so like, I'm not going to tell anybody not to go because truthfully, I had some great
And you've
times.
gone multiple times. It wasn't like you went once and
No,
hated
I've only
it.
been once.
I thought you went. I thought you went with.
I went with Abby and Zach and Q, and that's it.
Oh, really?
1 year last year.
I thought you went a year before that, and then like on a whim decided to go last year.
No, Raving Tom went the year before that.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you've only been once.
Once.
Do you want to go back?
If like the whole squad wanted to go, and it was like you, Matthew, Abby, Raving Tom, Jesse, I would go.
Yeah, but right now, no.
But I would never rally us for that. Like, I'd never be like, guys, we should go.
Yeah, there's other things to rally for.
Yeah, I will always push.
Hashtag Ultra.
Ultra, Imagine, Moonrise right now are my main ones. Oh, and Lost Lands.
Lost Lands, we really need to rally.
Everyone come to Lost Lands.
If you're listening to this podcast right now, go online and go to lostlandsfestival.com and buy your ass a ticket.
And we'll see you there.
And headbang with us.
Yeah, you can camp with us. We'll show you the ropes.
3 nights of the Paradox.
Dope.
And we'll rage till
We'll rave till dawn, in the words of Don Vito.
Yeah, R.I.P. R.I.P. Don Vito. Dang. But I feel like this is kind of a good segue, sort of, into like what happened with your dad and everything, because it was like the time of Ultra. Mm-hmm. You were supposed to go to Ultra with me and Abby and Jesse. Mm-hmm. And then like... So
this is always such a weird thing. Obviously I love Ultra more than any other festival on this earth.
Yeah.
And I'm the festival queen.
Yes.
But I just had this like feeling in my gut the week leading up to that Ultra. I like couldn't get myself excited. I was just feeling so... I don't know, I couldn't even really put my finger on it when it was happening. I just felt like I didn't want to go. For whatever reason, I felt gross about it. I was like, I really need to go home and spend time with my family.
Yeah.
So I had gone on a cruise for my senior year with all a bunch of Sigma Kappas. So I went on like a senior cruise. And the day I got off the cruise, my dad called me. My mom had to have 2 teeth that she's had root canaled like 100 times pulled. They were finally dead. She had to have like a bunch of dental stuff, but that was like the most major surgery. My dad calls me and he's like, I just dropped mom off. She's knocked out. She's on pain meds. When you get home, just make sure you like tap her and tell her, hey, I'm home if you need anything. And I did that. I got home at like 11, tapped my mom, put her phone like by her head, and I go out to the TV. I picked up tacos to eat, and I go back into the living room and I was watching 10 Things I Hate About You, the Heath Ledger movie. Yeah. And it was right at the part where they're like, I love you, baby, and he's like dancing on the high school field. And my mom came out, she's like bleeding from her mouth, and she's just like, something happened to your dad. And it was the Friday of Ultra.
And you weren't there?
Mm-mm. Because I just had this weird sinking feeling that I needed to be home.
Which is crazy. Yeah, and like, the weird thing for me, like my experience of that time was like, me and Jesse and Abby had like just gotten to our hotel.
You're excited. That's like exciting.
We were like so excited. We were getting ready. We were drinking, like all this stuff.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to do.
We were literally like commenting like, damn, I wish Lyndsay was here. It'd been so fun, blah, blah, blah. And then like one of us got a text.
That's the thing is I didn't know the right thing to do. If I should have, like, I knew you guys were headed into the first day of Ultra. But
you guys didn't want to be like a Debbie Downer.
But you guys are also like 3 of my best friends. So exactly. It was like, I feel like this should come from me versus them like get on the internet tomorrow morning and be like, What?
You didn't even tell us?
Yeah. Yo. So I think I called...
That's a good call.
I think I called Jesse just very briefly and was like, I just want you to know like this happened. We're like at the very beginning of the whole thing. I don't even really know what happened. I just know for a fact that he's gone. Because he died in a plane crash. So we just got a call from basically like first responders at the airport that were like, you guys need to get down here. So, I don't know, I felt really bad because I didn't want to like Debbie down you guys, but it definitely needed to come from me.
Totally. I mean, there's never a good time to tell someone that someone died.
So,
like, it's not like you can ever just find the perfect time. You just kind of got to tell them then because...
The whole first day, like, the plane crashed at 11 a.m. We weren't told because, I mean, it literally was like a bomb when the plane came out of the sky. So the only way they could identify it was by the tail. Like the tail has a number on it. And they found who had the plane out that day. And then it took them, we didn't know, we weren't alerted until like 2:30 or 3.
Wow. That's crazy.
So, that was...
Like you said, you got a text from your dad, like, that day.
Oh, I talked to my dad that day.
Yeah.
I talked to my dad. I was driving home from my cruise. I got off my cruise in Orlando. And he was like, what do you want to eat for dinner tonight? Like, let's go get sushi. I'm flying to Pensacola for a client. And my dad, because he went to the Air Force Academy, he, instead of driving somewhere or paying for a real flight, he would just fly a 2-engine Cessna. And
he was with his friend, right?
Him and we call him my Uncle Buck. His best friend Lou, they were roommates at the academy. They'd been best friends for 30 years. Lou was like commander of the Special Forces in the Air Force. He flew Black Hawks. He like landed a Black Hawk that fell out of the sky with everybody surviving. Like if there was a pilot you were gonna trust, it was Lou. And that's who was piloting. It was no error of my dad or his. There was another plane that was on a perpendicular landing strip that took off without clearance. And my dad and Lou were just Air Force trained pilots, so they pulled out of the sky because in their brain it's like save as many lives as you can. So it was either going to be an in-air collision or one of the planes was coming out of the sky. And they were just full of fuel.
Because it was a short flight?
Well, they had just taken off. So they had just refueled.
So what exactly happened? They had just taken off and then another plane decided to take off like right after?
Mm-hmm. So it was like going to be a T-bone in the sky.
Oh, shit. And so they're just like, all right.
Then my dad and Lou probably just made we'll never know, but
yeah, he probably just made the call right then.
The wing that the fuel lodge was on is what caught the ground, and it was like a bomb.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was the craziest day to me. I like remember it like I watched it like it was a movie.
I'm sure.
But still, like, who knows? I don't. Ugh. I just remember my mom coming out of her room crying, being like, "Oh, Dad's dead, Dad's dead."
And she's all.
But she was all. That's the thing. She was all jacked up on pain pills. She was on a halcyon, which they give you to like literally erase your mind. I'm not kidding. And I was like, Mom, go to bed. Because you've met my mom. She's like a little out there to begin with. So I'm like, you're having some wacko dreams that we're gonna talk about later, but you need to go to bed. I'm in the middle of eating my tacos and watching Heath Ledger. Please.
And she's like, nah.
No, she's like Val, who was Lou's wife. Like, she just called me, and I'm like, okay, give me your phone.
Whoa.
Ha 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 ha. Like, everything's fine.
That's crazy.
But I mean, the first 48 hours, I didn't cry one time.
Because it was just like, you didn't even feel like it was real, or what?
Yeah, I don't think it's real. And like, my dad was my best friend. Like, that's the closest person to me in my whole life, and probably will never have anybody like that ever again.
Yeah.
That was like the hardest loss that I could have ever had. Out of all my family members, it was like me and my dad always. I still think sometimes in my head, I think he's at home.
Yeah.
Or he's just
You're
been
like expecting to see him.
Yeah, like he's just been on a really long trip, but like any time now we'll hear from him.
Yeah.
It's definitely a weird experience. And like, there's no one or two ways to grieve. It's so true. My mom has gone through it a completely different way than I have. My brother has gone through it in a silent way.
Yeah.
And like before my dad passed, I used to be like a very emotional person. Like I would cry in front of a hobo on the street. And now I like am much more reserved about emotions and things that used to make me cry. I don't know, I think you build up like a pain tolerance.
Yeah. Puts it into perspective.
Yeah. Like I broke up with my boyfriend of 3 years and he's like sobbing and I was like, I just don't understand why you're so upset. When before I would have been a mess.
Yeah.
Type thing. And now I like, anytime I'm upset I get upset in waves. Father's Day was definitely hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which last Father's Day I was at EDC Vegas partying and it had happened so quickly after that I was fine.
Yeah. But now it's been like a full year.
It's like definitely settling in that he's gone.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. But life is weird.
For sure.
Well, only the good ones die young, I swear.
Yeah, for real. And I also feel like you said, your dad was... I wish I would have been able to meet your dad. I never met your dad.
Yeah, me
but
too.
I feel like, like you said, the good ones die young.
I mean, my dad's funeral was just full. Standing room only. And it's all these 50 years old plus bankers and businessmen and brokers who are sobbing.
Wow.
Sobbing. I think that in itself speaks to the type of person that my dad was.
Yeah.
He was just a very, like, lift everybody else up around you person.
That's so cool.
Like, it didn't matter how successful he was if everybody else around him wasn't. And, I mean, countless people that will come and tell me and my brother and my mom stories, like, I was bankrupt, I was about to lose my house, and, like, your dad turned my life around.
Wow.
Type stuff. My dad was awesome. My dad was an awesome guy. I almost, like, whenever I'm out in situations like that, I almost want to apologize to people, like, yes, I lost him, but the world lost him too.
Wow.
Yeah. And now he's buried in Colorado Springs.
Cool place too.
Yeah, he's at the
Air Force Academy.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
It's cool because he also, like, so he was never able to fly jets, so how long was he even in the Air Force for?
He was in the reserve for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
But he never, like, saw combat or anything, right?
No, he was a lieutenant colonel. I actually have a voicemail on my phone of him, and he called me. He goes, "Hey, just calling so you can wish me a happy Veterans Day." And I'm like, "You're not a veteran. You never, ever, ever went to combat. Don't even try."
That's so funny.
Yeah, my dad is one of those people, I don't know, he's just hilarious. And he was one of those people who, if he thought one thing was funny,
You just do it all the time.
all the time, and beat it into the ground.
That's me.
Yeah, like my dad used to think it was funny whenever I'd come home and visit from college. The second I got there, he'd be like, "Hey, when are you gonna leave again?" And I could be eating dinner and be like, "Mom, can I have a glass of water?" And he'd be like, "Yo, when are you leaving?" I'm like, "Whatever. You're gonna miss me when I go." My
That's
dad was
funny.
obsessed with me.
Yeah.
He used to call me after every single college class, like, "What did you learn?" I'm like, "Can you just give me some space, dude? I didn't learn anything. I was on my phone the whole time."
That's so awesome.
Yeah, my dad was a really cool guy.
For sure.
It was a huge loss for sure, not just for me, for everybody.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The crazy thing too is, like, so I was in Florida, and when I was at Ultra, my brother and my dad were staying with my grandparents, and they live close to St. Pete. And
It was in the
when
news.
I came home, it was, like, in the news, and my grandparents were like,
Yeah, it was a
"Yeah,
really
there was, like,
big
a
deal.
crazy plane crash," and I was like, "Yeah, that was, like, my friend's dad."
It was like really big local news,
And didn't you say, like, the news is, like, at the funeral and all that kind
In
of
my
crazy
house.
shit? Wow, that's fucked.
like parked outside of my house, and like we
what was
would-
that like?
That was just such a weird experience because it's like, I know this is a story, but that's like a human life, and I feel like you're fantasizing it to like get viewers and watch
That's exactly
this.
what it is. Because also
Yeah.
my grandparents, they had, like, so many people, like, you know, like, "Oh my gosh, wonder what that was," blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because also Florida's full of old people who have nothing better to do
Yeah.
than gossip, too.
Well, also like the guy, my Uncle Buck, the guy that my dad died with, was like really high up in the Air Force. Like, that was more of the story. Was
Were
like,
their funerals, like, together, kind of, or not really?
the one was the day before the other.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
Lou's was first. Lou is like really, 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 really Catholic.
Hmm.
So his was a Catholic mass funeral. My dad's was also, but not nearly as strict
Gotcha.
as Lou's.
What does that exactly mean? Because I'm not Catholic, so I don't really know.
So there's just like a lot of funeral rites that you get, and actually when you're Catholic, technically it's believed that you're supposed to be buried whole, like your whole body, and returned to the earth.
Oh, but
But
there's nothing left.
Yeah, we didn't have a choice. Like there was some left of them, but it was like, this is being cremated. And so because of that, Lou's family sort of had to double time his like Catholic rites because he was cremated. And then
Because if you're cremated,
you're not being returned to God the way you came. Does that make sense? It like doesn't, for non-Catholics, it doesn't even really, like I'm Catholic, it doesn't make sense to me, but that's just what they believe.
kind of makes sense, but the whole, like,
That's just,
you are not your body thing, isn't that what heaven's about?
I guess, but they just believe that like you're supposed to be returned to soil the way you are.
I agree with that, because I think, like, returning your body to the earth and, like, giving your life, like,
That's the things you like, your dead bones like fertilize soil and stuff.
exactly. And, like, all throughout your whole life, you have to eat other dead things to survive. So, like, you might as well give
It's
your
sort of like a
dead
circle
self.
of life thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which I agree with 100%. Like, I
Yeah.
definitely want to be buried too. I don't want to get burned up.
Yeah. So his was Catholic, and he got buried in a military cemetery in Sarasota. So his was the day before, and that was always really hard to deal with because Lou was like a second dad to me. Like we call him Uncle Buck because he's like part of the family. There was a period of time when he like lived with us. My dad and Lou would just take the plane out for fun and like come up to Auburn and just come and harass me randomly, just like show up at my apartment and be like, "It's dirty in here."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was like Tweedledee and Tweedledum, Dad 1 and 2. And I still feel like I haven't really processed losing Lou either.
Yeah.
Because it's like one and the other.
Yeah.
So his funeral was the day before and it was like horrible. It was awful. Funerals are always terrible.
Yeah, for sure.
And then my dad's was the next day.
So it's like 2 days of just...
Yeah.
But you said you didn't even cry? Or...
By then I was crying.
Okay, gotcha.
I had like one giant breakdown where I was just like,
sure.
This is fucked up. I need my dad.
Yeah.
I think someone sent me flowers personally and I was like, I don't want your flowers. Like, I want my dad.
Mm.
And me and my like, I mean, when someone passes away, people are like, I'm just going to make you food. So our whole house was just full of food.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to eat any of it.
Yeah.
It was like, me and my brother would literally ask people to go pick us up food. And people were like, you're aware that your kitchen is basically catered with barbecue right now. It's like, I don't want the death food.
Mm.
I don't know. I think people deal with it in their own ways. My mom just tried to like plan things. Like, oh, we're going to have this in the funeral and that in the funeral. I'm going to plan this, plan that.
Wow.
Just didn't like slow down.
Yeah.
But so... I had to contact school. I had 6 weeks left of school when it happened. I had to contact my provost at Auburn and be like, first of all, my dad died the week before Easter and we're Catholic. Can't bury anybody during Holy Week.
Oh.
So that was already going to be like a delay. And then because his body was part of an NTSB investigation, it was like not going to be turned over to us for at least a little bit. So it took 2 weeks from death to burial or to funeral. And
do you think that made things easier or harder?
I don't know. It kind of got to the point where it was like...
Let's just do it.
I need to just, like, do this. I need to do this.
Yeah.
I need to get... Because I spoke at the funeral, like, I needed to just, like, move through the steps, and it felt like I couldn't keep moving, and I wanted to keep moving.
Yeah.
But I had to contact my provost and everybody and all my teachers, and I was just basically like, this happened. I am happy to like work remotely, like finish assignments. And they were like, no, you're not doing that. Go be with your family, like go take a break. And then my provost actually contacted me by phone and was like, all of your teachers, I had basically a 4.0 in college. I had one non-A at this point, my senior spring. I was in every honor society. I was like nerd as hell. They were like, you have performed so well here. We are willing to offer you your degrees as is now.
Whoa.
Like, just give you your grades and you just are done. And I was like, thank you, but I'm going to come back and finish.
Yeah, you'd always kind of have like a weird asterisk next to it.
Yeah. So I went back and finished. I wrote 250-page theses.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
If you want to read them, where can you go?
We can publish them. One's about old dudes.
If you're listening to this and you want to listen, if you want to read a 250-page thing by Lyndsay Carreno.
Yeah. One's about how unintentional blowback by the United States in the Middle East created ISIS.
Interesting topic.
And then the other one is about David Hume and a bunch of other old dudes in Scotland who led the intellectual enlightenment by meeting in bars.
Huh.
It's called Drinking and Thinking.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, so Scotland used to be like a dead zone. Like, it was really the shittiest place in Europe. And then right before the intellectual revolution, all these old dudes had these book clubs where they'd meet in bars and talk about economics and philosophy. And then Scotland became one of the leaders.
Wow.
I mean, like Adam Smith, who's like what American politics are built on, he's Scottish.
Wow.
Yeah. David
That's really
Hume,
interesting.
he's like modern theological thought. Scottish.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. I have a lot of reasons behind that. That's
Yeah.
what my thing's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a lot to say about that.
Being a
250 pages worth.
yeah. Except for at the, like, my teacher's like, this is getting redundant. I'm like, you're the one that put a page limit. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
You want me to get
Makes
to 250 pages, the last 50
Yeah.
pages are going to be the same shit over and over.
Yeah, makes sense. So I think this is probably like a good time to kind of like talk about like politics and like all that kind of stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
But I had one last kind of like weird question too about your dad dying. Like,
yeah.
With like Mia being so young, how did she have to deal with that? Did she like?
She was 1.5, approaching 2. No, she had just turned 2 when it happened. Watching my brother explain to her, or try to explain to her, was the worst part of that day. First of all, my dad passed away. My brother goes, I want my daughter. I need to go get my daughter. She was at Courtney's. So I go with him to get her. And he just sort of sat her down and was just like, Pop's gone away. And he's not going to come back. And we're sad. We didn't want him to, but we're all going to be okay. She sort of learned by just being around us that it happened in a plane. And so now anytime she sees a plane, she'll go, bye, Pop.
Oh.
She's very smart. And I think she picked up that it was like a sad time and that something bad had happened. But I don't think any kid understands really
it's traumatizing
what death really is. Yeah. And I wouldn't want her to.
Yeah.
But we try to keep him like alive, like in certain things, in planes, and when she picks up a toy that my dad had bought her, who got you that? That Pop got you that. And she'll see pictures of him and she'll be like, oh, it's Pop. I feel bad for her because like I got 21 years and I am the person that I am because of him.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And she is being robbed of not having him around.
Dang.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure when she gets older, everybody's gonna have to have another talk with her where we're sort of like, this is what happened.
For sure.
Because she'll ask questions, but
definitely. Yeah. But right now it's just
she knows what she needs to know. I think she understands that he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to ask that.
No, you're
question.
Good. No, you're good.
No, I was just curious because obviously that's a big deal.
Yeah, it was. And my dad, like, there's like nothing on this earth my dad loved more than her. So, yeah, it's tough.
For sure.
Yeah.
But, so like you said, you kind of finished your whole thesis, and then you started working for
I was
law firm?
Originally going to go straight to law school. I had applied and been accepted to like NYU, George Washington. I was waitlisted at Georgetown. I was ready to go. And then everything happened with my dad, and like my mom just needed to be tended to.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll go home for a year. That's not a big deal. I'll work and I will just take care of mom. That's what he would want me to do. It's fine. So I went home. I got a job at a law firm. It was the worst job ever. They did foreclosure law. So like imagine calling an Army vet who's just got back from deployment and you're like, hey, we're foreclosing on your unit. You need to be out.
By the way.
Thanks for your service.
Yeah.
I hated it so much.
Yeah. So didn't they get shut down or something weird too?
Well, they started not being able to make as much money because the government and the like Florida state government started realizing how like not cool their like operation was. And so they had to downsize. So I got laid off, but I was happy to go.
Yeah, because it was just terrible.
I took my severance and went. I was like, okay, ta-ta.
Ta-ta.
And then I was just working like weird odd-end jobs like at gyms and whatever.
Yeah.
And then Donald Trump got elected. I did not get out of bed for 48, maybe more hours.
And you've always been like super active in like political stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, since my whole family is. My brother's super active in politics. My dad is super active in politics. I mean, since I was like 13 years old, we'd sit and have talks about like economics and the free market and why it works and why it doesn't work, blah, 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 blah. So it's just something I grew up being super interested in.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's what I studied in college.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, it's something I really cared about. And I worked on the Bernie Sanders campaign. So did Dana, my roommate. She would like really worked for the campaign. She was like a field coordinator. I was like a volunteer. Yeah. I knew he wasn't going to pass the primary. I didn't like Hillary. I obviously didn't want Trump though. And I just had like this feeling the whole time
It was going to happen.
He's going to get elected. Everybody's acting like he's not, and they're breeding complacency. And so people are not going to vote because they're not passionate about Hillary. So they're like, I'm just not going to vote. Instead of picking one, I'm just not going to vote, and Trump's going to win.
Or like, haha, this will be funny.
Not funny anymore, people.
Yeah.
So Trump got elected. I was like crying, watching the news. People are like, what is happening to American democracy? What is going on? What is going on? And I just kept being like, okay, we have until the end of December. We could have rogue electorates. Like, because you know that every electoral vote, there's a person that represents it, and they go into a room
and they actually have to
cast their vote. And there's records of like 2 people in the whole history of America being rogue electors. That I was like,
are they allowed to do that legally?
Yeah.
Why is that? In case there's something weird like this?
Well, it's just not written into law because it's never had to be, because it's sort of just understood. Like,
you represent these people, so you better vote what
line.
They say. It just seems very silly to me.
So both of the examples of rogue electors, though, are people who just abstained from voting. It wasn't like they jumped ship. They just were like, I'm not going to vote. So I kept being like,
please, God.
It could happen. It could happen.
It was just like denial.
Weirder things have happened, like him getting elected in the first place. And then, when he got elected, I just was like, Mom, I love you. I've spent 6 months at home. I cannot sit here and do nothing anymore. I can't. This man cannot move to D.C. unfought. So I went on Craigslist, found some apartments, Skype interviewed with people, picked a place. It's actually right over there, really close to here, and moved up here. Without a job, didn't know anybody, just came.
That's cool, though.
Yeah, I mean...
You're here now.
I'm here now. Got a job after
So you're in a house with like 6 other people?
6-bedroom house. There was a couple that lived in one room, so 7 of us. 2 bathrooms.
Did you know, and like, do you still keep in touch with any of those people?
Yeah, so 2 of the guys that lived in that house actually have moved out also and live in their own apartment. They're like 2 of my best friends up here, Josh and Mikey. And then a German exchange student moved in there. And he's still one of my best friends. His name's Yannick.
That's awesome.
I call him Nana.
That's really cool.
So yeah, I'm still
So
really
you've been here for how many months?
About 6 now.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're just like, peace out. And you've always been like super comfortable traveling and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we went and hung out in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Just dope last year.
I spent some time in Tanzania.
Yeah. When did you do that? In high school?
No, college, after my sophomore year, I want to say. And that's where I met Raving Tom.
Shout out Raving Tom, for sure. Back in Barcelona.
Yeah, he's back in Spain. Yeah, you and him are friends now because I introduced you guys in Spain. Mm-hmm. I love that.
I'm friends with a lot of people because of you.
I love that. I love squatting up with homies.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's actually really, really, really crazy to think about, like, how you can meet somebody. Because a lot of my friends are like that, where I just met them because we were at a concert and, like, we clicked or whatever.
That's like all my friends.
Or, like, because I met this person and he's cool, like, I met this person. Like, it's really, really crazy. Actually, a lot of people that have been on this podcast have been, like, actually kind of crazy introductions and stuff.
Yeah. I always love that I can like show up to a rave and have like Raving Tom, who I met in Africa, and you, who I met in Atlanta, and then like the girls in my sorority, and all these different characters, and that everybody's friends with everybody and everybody knows everybody. I'm like, yes, my
work here is done.
Yeah.
That is very, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like for Lost Lands, like all my homies are going up there, and like everyone is like, yo, are we gonna camp together, all this stuff? And I'm like, dude, I have like 4 squads. Like
we gotta combine.
We gotta figure out what to do.
We have
to make one mega squad.
We'll pit stop right before it and go in.
Yes, we have to.
Anyways, yeah, I've always been comfortable traveling. I think like moving overseas like that, you just get really used to international travel and stuff. And I'm not like, people are like so whack about it. They're like, oh, you can't go to London right now. Look at all the terrorist attacks. I'm like, look at all the shootings here. You think anywhere one place is more safe or more terror-ridden than the other? That's no.
It's quite silly.
You just have to go and be safe and be smart and hope for the best. You think anybody that, like, people were killed at an Ariana Grande concert, you think they weren't trying to be safe and cool?
Yeah.
It just happens. This is the way, this is the fabric of life.
Yeah, and like my personal belief on that is, like you said, stay safe and stay smart, but you can't live in fear.
Yeah, you can't.
If you're constantly afraid, like it boils down to such a minuscule level too, because so many people just live their life in fear constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know this lady, she's constantly living in fear of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And especially I think women too are more susceptible to that, because
I think like,
on a daily basis, like you're encountering like 50% of the people you're encountering are men that could physically harm you.
Well, I always walk with one headphone out and look behind me.
Yeah.
Just because I'm a girl.
Most guys don't even ever think about that.
I'm a girl in a big city. But you're right about not living in fear. Like, I went to the congressional baseball game. I don't know if you heard about that shooting. There was the congressional baseball game is a big charity event every year. They play it at Nats Park. And it's Dems versus Republicans. It's really cute. It's really fun. And the Republicans were practicing at a field in Virginia, and someone open shot and shot the majority whip, Scalise in the hip. He's still.
Oh, I heard about that. I didn't know that was at the game.
It was at practice for the game.
Oh, okay.
But so then people were like, "You're not going to go to the game," and I'm like, "Of course I'm going to go to the game. But I'm not going to go somewhere because no." So I went to the game. I had a great time.
People are always so freaked out about that stuff on planes too. But it's like, dude, don't you go to shopping malls?
Nowhere is really safe.
Exactly.
This is the world we live in.
It's interesting because I just had a podcast that's going to be coming out soon with my friend Luke. And Luke is super conservative. Like, he was head of the Students for Concealed Carry thing. He's been on the news like multiple times. He's super like pro-life, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking about this when I had my podcast with him. Was like, I'm probably interviewing, like, having a conversation with my most conservative friend, and now I'm probably gonna have a conversation with my most like liberal friend.
Yeah.
Which I could probably say that you're probably one of my most liberal friends.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty liberal. I think I definitely know people that are more liberal than me. Like Dana's definitely more liberal than me. Mm-hmm. But I see both sides very clearly because both my parents are very staunch Republicans.
What do you think made you go that way?
I think to a certain extent when you're in college, it becomes very hard to cling to conservative ideas. Like for me, it was like the more I learned, the more I started to understand, it's like I'm not going to infringe my desires or my wants on somebody else. Like the gay marriage thing to me just doesn't make sense. It's like, I don't personally want to marry a girl. I don't personally want to marry anybody. But isn't it nice that if I want to, I have the option and the freedom to? Mm-hmm. And my freedom to marry a girl if I want doesn't in any way hinge or impede your right to marry
a girl. Or a dude.
Or a dude.
Or nobody.
Or nobody.
Or a tree.
Yeah. Like the ultra girl.
I've heard of that, like nature sexual or something weird, something new.
But
my thing is, like you said, it's hard to cling to those views. And like, for me, it's kind of hard to cling to any like party lines because I don't want to be represented by people that don't represent me.
They're both toxic in their own way.
Exactly.
They are. And here's the thing that I always try to explain to people. Our generation, millennials, and the people right above us, tend to be fiscally conservative. We don't want to have student debt. We want to have a job waiting for us in the market when we get out of school. We want lower taxes because we're like, I went to school and I don't care that this kid didn't go to school and is flipping burgers. I want what's mine to stay mine. But then socially we're pretty liberal, like gay marriage, if you want to have an abortion, that's your call.
Would you say that's libertarian?
I don't know. See, that's the thing is libertarians' economic ideals, like in a sense, are like let the market regulate itself. But when the market runs away with itself, it's not good.
Yeah, not anarchy. Like
it's not good to have the market not regulated.
I think that people have a level head and call themselves libertarians
I guess,
agree
like,
with what you're saying.
So like for me, like I would never call myself a libertarian because of the economic side of it. Because I don't,
the anarchy side.
Well, because I don't and can never be behind a market that's unregulated, because you have so many issues with that. Like, I believe in the invisible hand. Like, I just think that the market at some point requires some kind of regulation.
In what way, though? Like, what do you mean?
Like monopolies. If you didn't have anti-monopoly laws, like antitrust laws, anti-price fixing laws.
People.
Yeah. Like, this firm that I just left is an antitrust firm, and you know, we had a case come for this drug called baclofen, which is for muscle spasms for people who have like MS and stuff. And with no change in the market, no change in supply, no change in demand, the price per pill went from like $6 to $29 to $98.
And it was simply just because they knew that there was no alternative and they could.
Yes. And so for me, it's like libertarians are kind of just like, well, laissez-faire, the market will handle itself. And I just can't ever justify it. I just think that, like, as the world evolves and as society evolves, we're going to need another party.
That's what I was getting to. That's what I was getting to. Like,
I don't know what the party is.
This two-party system's obviously broken. What do you think
no one
needs to happen?
perfectly sits in one party or the other.
For sure.
No one.
And I think that also this I think Bernie was probably our best shot at some sort of.
But even then, like, a lot of people that believed in Bernie in a societal, social way couldn't really wrap their minds around the redistribution of wealth in the way that he wanted to do it.
Because it also in a lot of senses, you know, people make tons of models and they're kind of like, this kind of can't make sense in some ways. And trust me, I don't know all the numbers. I couldn't tell you all the exact stuff. But I've had an interesting concept that was brought up. I was listening to a podcast, and it's this whole idea of not a livable wage. It's what is it? You basically, like, the government just like gives you a certain amount of income, like, per month, regardless.
Like a subsidy type deal?
Kind of. It's like
See, I don't know about that either.
Yeah, but it was the more I thought, when I first heard about it, I'm like, no, that's terrible. But the more that I thought about it, let's say the government gives you $1,000 every month, regardless of if you're rich or poor or whatever.
Yeah.
That $1,000 would help so many people, because some people aren't even making $1,000.
Well, so like my belief in economics is that if the lowest of us is doing a certain level of good, we're all doing good. We'll all do better, the better that the lowest of us do. So you have to think about it like the bottom of the ladder is in the dirt, then the highest that the ladder can reach is the roof. But if the lowest rung of the ladder is on the roof, then the top of the ladder can reach the sky.
Oh.
And
how do we get there, though?
And that's the thing, is like, all these problems that we're having, it's like people can't afford to be consumers because they can barely afford to live. So how are they supposed to go out and shop? So you have like the retail bubble that's popping, and in the housing market, like, no one can afford to own, they can only afford to rent, which is driving poverty down even further. All of this can be solved if everybody's wage is just increased, just ever so slightly, incrementally, as time goes on. I don't know how we get...
Doesn't that kind of just devalue the dollar eventually?
No, because it's not really inflation. It's the dollar hopefully will be the same. It's just that, like, it's like when people retire in the military, they do adjusted living wages. So like when you retire, you're owed your payment back. And they will adjust it. So like somebody who's been getting $60 since, 1990s, now they're going to get $120 because that's just like the equivalent.
The livable wage, yeah.
I don't know, it just seems like there's so many problems and so many, I feel like every time I get really invested in one problem, like women's reproductive rights, I turn around and there's something else, and I'm like, I just don't know how we fight back in Trump's America, because these people that voted for him that didn't just vote for him to toe party lines, because of course those people were just like, well, I'd rather vote a Republican. These people that like really believe what this guy is saying, like, we need to build a wall, we need to keep immigrants out. It's like, this is the land of the free, this is the land of opportunity. Like, this country was built on the back of immigrants. Mm-hmm. And who are you to say that they shouldn't be here or shouldn't be able to contribute to society.
Well, to play devil's advocate, I think that a lot of people are fed up with the idea that the people that they're trying to keep out, it's not that they don't want them here necessarily. Granted, I'm sure that there's a lot of racist people that are
Like, get them out
in
of here.
support that are saying get them out of here. But the idea being these people are coming over illegally.
Yeah.
Let's figure out a system.
But to those,
And the first thing we've got to, and they like in their mind, we've got to make some kind of statement to say this is not okay. We won't stand for the illegal part, because that's the problem. Is like if it was legal, it'd be cool.
But here's
like,
the thing. Here's the thing that I say to those types of people: if they're legal, then they're gonna have to be paid more. They're working illegally. They're getting paid under the table. Companies are being able to hire them for far less.
For sure, and that's a whole nother side of the coin, for sure.
And my question to people who are like, well, we can't have them in here. It's like, first of all, go watch a documentary film called A Day Without a Mexican. The entire infrastructure of America will implode.
Totally.
Avocados will be $25 a piece. That's just the
for sure.
fact of the matter. And my other question that I pose to those type of people is, please name me a time in America's free market when we didn't rely on a slave or cheap labor force.
Yeah, you're right.
That's how you hold up the free market. As terrible as that is, and I hate it because these people deserve to be paid more. They do. The consumerist driven market that we live in doesn't function without cheap labor.
So if we are going to raise up this like illegal workforce,
we have to be prepared.
How do we...
Prices are going to shoot up for everything.
But like, okay, so in your ideal situation, how would this silent illegal workforce, like how do we raise them to a standard of living that's good, and how do we fix this issue? My
opinion on it is like the people that are already here, they're here. Why are you going to waste time and money and effort to send them back? You're going to spend more money sending them back than to sit with them, interview them, put them on a program where they're starting to pay taxes, where they're giving back to the federal government, work them into a legal status.
I agree with that. 100%.
Slowly but surely.
So basically make a system to get these illegal immigrants, instead of them being afraid to being kicked out of the country, work with them on a consistent basis of how we can get them to legal status.
I mean, the thing is like a deportation force is going to cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
I agree.
It's like, set up a federal program that these people come forward, they say, we're going to test you for 3 years, we're going to make sure you're paying your taxes, we're going to make sure you're like a functioning member of society, you're not robbing and raping and whatever else Trump thinks they're doing.
Big bad hombres.
Yeah, put them on a probationary track and let them become citizens. That's what this country is about.
I agree,
I mean,
100%.
Your last name is Deitch. Where did you come from?
Yeah, some Nazi shit.
Her last name is Trentelange. That's so Italian, it hurts my face.
What up, bitch?
Like, my last name is Carreno. That's 3 people. We're Americans.
Second generation, motherfuckers.
But, like, we're not.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's part of what makes America beautiful, is that, like, people were able to come here and you're supposed to be able to work hard.
Totally.
And see and reap the rewards of your hard work. But, like, it just seems like nowadays that we haven't even created the situation where people can work hard and do well. Seriously.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, you want, especially in the day and age of the internet, you want to think that, like, oh, the world is all this one thing and we're all united, we're all people. But, like, for example, I was at the Holocaust Museum yesterday, and, like, one interesting thing was, like, Hitler's ultimate solution was to get rid of the Jews, right? Mm-hmm. So he was trying to negotiate moving them out, like getting them out forcibly of the country, but the surrounding countries wouldn't take them. They're like, we can only take this amount of immigrants, and we're not going to agree to this.
Yeah.
So his solution was just to create factories to kill them.
You know, even Abraham Lincoln tried to send the slaves to Liberia. That Liberia literally is like a Latin word for like freedom, and we were just going to be like, thanks for being here for a little bit, but go back.
Just like for fact's sake, it actually wasn't Hitler that like made the gas chambers. That was like one of his evil.
Oh wow.
One of his evil peoples.
Who just like hated Jews more, and he was
really?
like, this is how.
The Holocaust is so interesting to me because I'm like, how did this just happen? And everybody was like, all right, you just do your thing, Hitler.
Well, also, like, the weird thing, I mean, we'll never know what it was like to live in that time period, obviously. No. But, you know, let's say people in America, the only thing they would know is from, like, a newspaper or what they saw in the news. And, like, that was being, you know, monitored, controlled by who is giving them information.
I hate to be, like, reactionary and crazy, but Trump's executive orders and, like, his, you know, like, attacks on media and everything, that is how Hitler got away with what he did. And I'm just very scared to see what Trump thinks he can get away with. Like, fascism is no joke. And Trump thinking he can just, like, write a travel ban into existence with no regard for constitutional law or anything is, like, toeing the line there.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing that's not helping, too, is, like, he's, you know, oh, CNN, you are fake news, blah, blah, blah.
Attacking the media is step number one in fascist dictatorship.
Yeah.
Mussolini, Stalin, Hitler, you just attack the media. You attack the information source so that people don't trust.
They don't trust it.
They don't trust anything but you, really. They're like, he's the only one telling us the truth. And think about how many, like, ass-backwards rednecks that voted for Trump. They're like, Trump's the only one that tells us the truth.
He's the only one who tells us like it is.
But really, he gets his news from Fox News and Breitbart, who are not telling the truth.
But but like I said, CNN a lot of times isn't doing themselves any favors because, you know, they will be caught, like, publishing something that's...
Yeah, you know, there's no doubt that is a very, like, liberal...
That's the hard thing, is that all news sources are...
Dude, CNN's projecting... Sorry to interrupt. This is a very tense time for the Democratic household. CNN is projecting Republican Karen Handel has won Georgia's 6th.
Yeah, by 2 points. And
wow.
22 plus our Cook County score...
I'm so
R
upset.
+8. You shouldn't be upset. It's an R+8 district. +8.
I'm so upset. I'm really upset.
Dog.
I hate when this happens. I hate when I get my hopes up in elections.
This is my election, man.
I know.
Why?
Dana works for a political polling, my roommate, who's been walking around this whole time, people. She works for a political polling company or firm who did Hillary for America, and she did John Ossoff's campaign.
We just did Archie Parnell today, too.
Yeah, R.G. Parnell. Dana's a little go-getter. She basically walked into this firm's office in Montgomery and was like, congratulations, I now work for you.
That's awesome.
It's not true, but...
Yeah.
Kind of true.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what you gotta do sometimes.
Definitely.
Very pursuit of happiness. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I slept in a bathroom with my son at the train station the night before.
Murphy, you slept in a bathroom?
I was joking, that's the plot.
I'm aware.
Yeah. No, but
I don't know. I've kind of covered my whole life at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say we've gone for like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I have strep throat, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, so thanks for sticking this out, and thanks for doing this because this is actually really fun. But
I love this.
But to kind of wrap things up, I guess, politically, what do you think? Obviously, there's so many things that you think should happen, but like, what do you think needs to happen in order for us to?
It's such a hard question.
Progress.
Every day I feel like I have a different answer. As my focus changes, like right now the last like 6 to 8 months I've really been focused on women's reproductive rights and like women's rights and trying to like combat rape and sexual harassment in the workforce. That's just something that like I feel really passionate about. Like I look at my niece and I always want to fight for her. And so things like that just requires like a reprogramming. Like little boys need to be taught differently from the get-go that like a woman's body is her choice. And I think there's so many things that need to be done about reproductive rights. I definitely think...
Where do you think that they're learning that it's not, though?
I don't know. I think it's very subtle in society. I think watching a TV show when you're like 6 years old and you don't really understand the idea of sex yet, and there's people like having sex on the TV and...
Or like slapping a girl's butt or something.
Yeah, and like most sex
scenes... Do you think it's getting better, though? Like if you watch TV from years and years ago, like there would be scenes where like a dude would just straight up slap a woman in the face.
But
you couldn't get away with that
But
now.
even if you watch it now, like most sex scenes begin with the guy like sort of like making the first move and sort of like attach... Like just kind of like attack... I hate to say attacking because it's not attacking.
Wouldn't you also say that's kind of what like I obviously this is a generalization.
Yeah.
But like
women.
Isn't that what women kind of want a lot of times?
But see, like I feel like that.
They want like not an aggressive, but like they want the man that's gonna like make the first move. That's not gonna be a pussy about it and like actually go for it.
But see, like to be a feminist, you also have to sort of allow men to have a feminine side, and that's been really hard for me to learn also. And like we have men that are like 20 years old and can't express feelings because they've been told their whole life that if they have them at all, they're pussies. So I think the whole thing is that little boys are watching movies like that and they're seeing the aggression, and little girls are seeing it too, and they're learning. And
they're just like, oh, I'm just supposed to submit whatever this guy wants.
They're just learning, and it's like very small things throughout your life that you take with you, and you don't realize it.
And like we don't want to teach kids about sex and stuff like that when they're young.
But you have to.
You have to, because they're going to learn it anyways from TV and from the media, which is fucked up.
And that's what I'm saying.
Or
is
even
like,
just watching porn, like kids.
Dude, it's aggressive.
Young kids like watch porn,
and it's
it's a fact.
Statistically, porn does better when it's an aggressive male figure exerting over a female. That's like a proven fact. It's like she's a babysitter and the dad comes home, or it's like a professor and she's a student, and those trends and those behaviors where they're like, where it shows.
There's also it will do better if it's aggressive in the other way too. Like if the woman is aggressive towards the guy and he's like, no, Mrs. blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I can't.
And like,
but it's never like two people platonically like, oh, we're just really in love, boyfriend and girlfriend. It's always a situation.
Yeah, I just think like, and I don't know the answer to it. I don't. But
we're sexual creatures.
I think that like sex education needs to be changed. I think access to contraceptives needs to be better. I think misogyny needs to stop being like talked like, oh, they're just boys. There's so many things.
I think misogyny like has come up so much in recent years that it's almost been like people just are kind of just whatever.
But like me and Dana talk about this all the time. There's like women who have internalized misogyny. We call them pick me girls. They're like, pick me, I also hate women. Like girls that say like, oh, I'm not like other girls. Well, what's wrong with being like other girls? What's wrong? Why are you trying to convince every dude that you meet that you're basically a bro? And how many times have you heard a girl do that? A lot. And those types of things are hard also because it's like she's trying to explain away her feminine identity for the approval of a man.
It's interesting.
And the more you think about it, like all these women who had shirts that were like, you can grab me by the pussy whenever, Trump. There's some form of like internalized misogyny here where they're like, pick me, I also like Trump. And I don't know how to fix that either. So that was one of my really big focuses the last 8 months. Like I was really rallying behind Planned Parenthood and all these types of different things. And in the last, couple weeks after Trump signed all those coal laws and everything, like climate change is just so important. Yeah. It's so important. It's like not even funny at this point. Like we're so fucked.
Yeah. Like one interesting thing as well is people always want to say like, well, how can you even care about this when this is happening?
Yeah.
Or how can you even care about this when this is happening?
But everyone has to find their niche. Like you have to find something that you care about. Like
and you can't belittle. Like this is something that me and my friend Cece talked about the other day was the whole cultural appropriation thing. People want to make a huge deal out of that, and then there'll be some people that will say like, well, dude, how can you even be mad? Okay, yeah, there's cops killing black people in America, but at least they have access to clean water. There's tons of black people in other countries that have no access to clean water and are dying. Why don't you care about those black lives? Don't they matter too?
Yeah.
Like, there's always a bigger issue to deal with. You could even, like you said, climate change is probably the biggest one because it affects everybody.
Well, our Earth is going to die, and then there's not going to be any of these other problems.
But then some people could say, like, well, our Earth is going to die anyways for our future generations, so why don't we focus on the issues of today? And there's always going to be an argument.
Everybody just has to find their niche, like...
Don't belittle someone else's thing.
And somebody who cares about science is obviously going to rally behind climate change. And then someone who, like a woman like me, who wants like equal pay in the workforce is obviously going to rally behind feminist things. And everybody just has to
What's the deal with the equal pay in the workforce thing?
I mean, it's just like studies show that women are less likely to be promoted and we make 70 cents to the dollar. And there's this whole like idea that mothers are punished. Like if you take your 12-week maternal leave, you're going to be in some way reprimanded. Like maybe even behind the scenes, they're going to be like, well, she's not dedicated to her job. There's all these things. And like,
to play devil's advocate, I've heard that the 70 cents to the dollar thing is kind of a weird thing because, like...
Well, it's because men hold jobs that make more money traditionally, and so women are statistically making 70 cents to the dollar because the jobs they have pay less. So it's like comparing something that costs $100 to comparing something that costs $70.
Yeah, but like the thing that people think of when they hear the 70 cents to the dollar thing, they're thinking like, oh, if I work in this law firm and I'm a lawyer and I'm a dude and I'm a lawyer and I work in this law firm and I'm a woman, I'm getting paid 70 grand a year while this guy's paying 100 grand a year.
Yeah, which is not necessarily the case.
Exactly.
It's that this woman's been working at this firm for 12 years and she's an associate and she wants to be a partner, and partners make $100,000, but this guy who's been working at the firm for 6 years gets made partner above her and is now making the $100,000 and she's still making only 70.
I can see that situation, but I think the main thing I feel like repeating that statistic is kind of disingenuous a little bit,
Yeah.
but the thing that I agree with is encouraging women to, like you said, they're statistically proven to choose lower paying jobs, maybe empower them more to feel like they're worth more than a teaching job. Or not that anything's wrong with that, but like, for example, if the dude's going to become a doctor and make more, the girl's going to become the nurse and make less or whatever. Like empowering women to choose higher paying jobs.
It's that women feel like there is going to be a natural end to how high they can reach. And that's not fair. And then what's so funny about it is like there really is this motherhood shame where it's like, well, you're obviously not dedicated to your career. Like you're going to take 12 weeks off to be basically pregnant, and then half your time is going to be split. And I think that's so funny because, I mean, I studied this in one of my classes in college. Like, birthing rates are dropping so low.
Oh, for sure. Well, at least in America.
The women are not having kids because they're like, I went to college, I want to have a career. And I'm going to be punished for having a kid, so I'm just not going to do it.
What do you think the solution is then?
I don't know. See? I mean, truthfully, we need longer maternal leave. Women really should be out like 6 months. They should. And fathers should be out like 3 with their kids.
Yeah, I agree too.
You don't have a kid so that you're one person can parent.
Here's the even weirder thing. Like, to take an even huger step back, what happens when all the jobs are gone and robots do everything? Do we get to just be parents all the time? Because that'd be cool if we didn't have to work.
That's another thing that's about to happen, and it's not good. People that are trying...
That's where the whole livable wage thing comes into, like, not even like livable wages and like making minimum wage more, but like straight up, okay, there's about to be companies, whoever makes these like robots or systems or whatever that do jobs that normal people would just be doing, where's that money all gonna go? Is it just gonna go to some corporation that's just its only job is to make more money? That's kind of crazy. So what if, I don't like this idea necessarily on a surface level, but it kind of makes sense in the fact that, like, what if these robots are generating so much income that they can just straight up give money to like normal people that those jobs have misplaced?
That will never happen. No one's going to give away money.
I know, but
it's a beautiful idea.
I know,
people could
right?
like farm and stuff.
That's the thing is, like, it's crazy to think about what is going to happen.
But that's just like McDonald's workers. We want $13, $15 an hour.
Well, you're just going to get replaced by a robot.
Well, now we have ordering machines, so we only need one person on shift at a time.
Yeah, and you know what? When I went to Europe, like, I would use those every single time because I wasn't going to try to talk to somebody in a different language. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to press the picture of a burger, and then someone's going to go, 31, and then you go get it.
There's just so many things, like... Yeah. And this is part of, like, how there's no end to the problems. Yeah. And no one knows a solution.
Yeah, for sure. I think my biggest thing, as far as, like I said, I don't like putting myself into a box as, like, I'm a Republican, I'm a this, I'm a that. Like, my biggest thing is, like, I want everyone to be able to have the freedom to do what they want to do. So, like you said, socially liberal, but also, like...
Everybody has a right to feel the way they want to feel. Part of free speech is having the other side of the aisle say what they want and feel what they want. People that are conservative, like, get out there, fight for what you believe in. If that's what you really believe in, then do it. I'm not here to tell anybody that they're wrong or that their feelings are unjustified. Just keep humanity in mind. Make sure you're doing the right thing. Yeah. And if you feel like you're doing the right thing, then get out there and fight. My right is different than their right. And that's what makes America so powerful as a country.
You could say that sort of makes America great.
Yeah. Get me a hat. Get me
That's
a
so
damn
funny.
hat.
That's so funny. Well, I feel like that's a good place to wrap it up. We're
Yeah.
literally about to cross 2 hours. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything you want to like promote? Follow you on Instagram?
Follow me on Instagram. My name is spelled wrong. Shout out parents. It's Lyndsay Carreno. Lyndscarreno.
Nice. Anything else you want to say?
I don't know. Come rave with us. Come to Lost Lands, everybody.
Yes, for sure. Well, cool. This was super fun.
All are welcome.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lyndsay. And
Yeah.
peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Boom. I always say boom. I don't know why. Boom. Thanks again for listening, everybody. If you want to follow Lyndsay, I will make sure her Instagram name is in the, whatever it's called, username, name, I don't know. It's in the show notes. I'll make sure that it's in there. You can go follow her. She has a very, very good thread there. Go follow her. Seriously. She has a good Instagram feed. Also, I really, really want to thank Lyndsay for talking about so much vulnerable stuff. And I hope that everyone listening gained something from that conversation because I know I sure did. Lyndsay really is one of the strongest people I know, and I cannot wait to rage with her soon at some concerts because that's what we do best. I was super late because of my trip last week with the weekly update, so next episode is going to be the weekly update where I share all the important stuff and answer some questions and give a preview of the next episodes. Lots and lots of exciting stuff to announce. I've got 3 new full-length episodes coming out this week, so stay tuned, people. If you want to support the podcast, you already know the best way to do that is to go to iTunes or the podcast app. If you got an iPhone, find the Andrew Deitch Podcast, leave it a 5-star review. Give me some feedback. I would love to know what you think, what you like, what you don't like. And share that. Having lots of downloads is super important too, so if you want to download all the episodes, that would be ballin'. Even if you're not going to listen to my other episodes, just do it. It helps me out. I would really appreciate it. If you want to follow me on social media, the best way to find all of those names is to go to my website, andrewdeitch.com. That's Andrew, DEITSCH.com. And you can find links to all of my social media handles. I wonder how many times I've spelled my last name in my life. DEITSCH. A million. Make sure you follow the podcast Instagram at AD Podcast. You don't have to spell my last name for that one. It's just AD. And then the word podcast. Everyone knows how to spell that. So simple. Just go do it. AD Podcast. I'm putting lots of cool stuff there. Do it. That's all I got. Keep it locked. More good stuff coming soon. Thanks again for the last time. You guys are amazing. And yeah. See you later, everybody.